Welcome, everyone. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak. My name is Ivy Rivera, and this is my Dear Ivy show, where I give you free advice on any topic under the sun. This is a play off of Dear Abby, the famous columnist who I absolutely adored in the 80s. I remember making my fake little cup of coffee that was mostly sugar and reading her column and like pretending I was her. And we tested the show out last year and you guys ate it up. Okay, so I'm eating it up. I absolutely love this. This is a lot of fun for me to do as well. So drop your question, literally anything. Dear Abby, the columnist, if you ever read it, she would get questions about like, my neighbor has a tree that's coming over onto my property and they refuse to clip the branches. And like, I've already been fighting with him. Like, how do I deal with it? Or people would ask like really personal questions about like their marriage or their love life, or they would complain about their in-laws, or like, what do I do about this friend who I think is like not treating me right? I don't care what the question is. It's going to be fun. So go ahead and drop those now. This is free. Like I said, so we're going to size down on that font. We're going to go way down to smaller font so it's not covering my face the entire time. We were supposed to go back down. Are we able to get that down? So I'm going to let Diana try to figure that out. But wherever you guys are tuning in from, Diana, my beautiful producer, is going to be grabbing your questions. So this is TikTok tonight. This is Instagram. Okay, and then on YouTube. Are we not able to size down? It's going to be covering my face. I thought we had the smaller font on this. No, we can't. Okay, that's fine. So anyways, this will be like blocking me. Diana, so I'll read it off. And then as soon as I read it off, you can just take it down. Let's see. This question is from Bethany Renner. She said, my question is about receiving. How does one receive love and blessings? What does receiving look like physically and energetically? Okay, I love that. How do we receive? Okay, so the first part of her question here is how do we receive? And I think she said love and blessings. Okay, I think the first thing is to unblock. So in any type of manifestation that we're trying to do, in any situation where we want more of something, in this case, she's referring to love and blessings. We have to, before we start focusing on how to get it, how to accept it, how to take it, we have to focus on what's in the way. And so this applies to all areas of life, really. So what is in the way? Now that's going to be different for everybody. So Bethany, you're going to have to look at where your blocks are. All right. How were you? Go back to the beginning. How was I raised up to block love? Where did I not receive love? Where was I told that asking for blessings is some type of a sin, or I'm not eligible for that, or it's limited? Funnily enough, the meme that I posted today, every day I post one meme. I try. And today's meme was, sis, the universe is not on a budget. Ask for more. So I find it funny that this was your question. The first question, even. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we were raised up to believe that everything was limited. If you were raised in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, just up until just recently, have we even started to discuss the possibility? Now that we're finally in the revolution, have we even begun to discuss the possibility that love is unlimited, that we can receive money, resources from multiple streams? And all of that was perfectly designed to keep us down, to keep us part of the machine, whether it's stay in this religion that is a cult based on fear, whether it's feed capitalism, feed the machine, you should be terrified to lose your job. whether it's the patriarchy or colonization that's limiting, all limiting beliefs, you were trained up in that. So you have to go back and you have to see. I would make a list of all the different ways you have been trained up to have limiting beliefs about things like love and blessings and abundance, because it's all connected, and how you adopted that and unfortunately started doing that to yourself. You now have inner dialogue that says, don't ask for that. That can't happen. Or even when something shows up, you're like, I don't know how to take it. I can't incorporate it into my life. I don't know how to absorb it or accept it. Mama, come. You can jump up here. I hold you. So you are going to have to work through. Okay. And it is a process for sure. You do your best work in this area in the moments when there's something readily available for you to receive. You do your best work in this area in the moments where you catch yourself talking down to yourself or showcasing through that inner dialogue that those limiting beliefs, and you catch it and you stop it and you replace it with the truth, which is that the universe is unlimited. Okay, you replace it with a vision of what you will receive. Not I hope, I wish, I pray, I want. That's all needy. That's all low level. That's all pacifistic, like waiting, if pacifistic is even a word, waiting on God or the universe or some outside source to give it to you. No. I'm claiming it. This is what I'm visualizing I am claiming. So you replace that negative thought with that other vision. Now, that is going to require that you be mindful. And for as long as something like this was put in your head, and for as long as you have been doing this to yourself, you have to understand that fixing that habit, that pattern of thinking, is going to take a while. Luckily, not as long as it took to get there, but a while. And the worst thing you could do at this point is to be impatient with yourself, aggressive with the process. Okay, it's good to come with an attitude of gratitude, counting your blessings, being in the energy of love, being in the energy of blessings and prosperity. So anytime you see it, whether you're watching someone else have it, it's happening to you. It's your cat comes over and is giving you love, like Esmeralda, who showed up right at that moment a second ago when we were at that part about change. You stay with that energy longer. Okay, so be in the energy of it. How does it feel to receive physically and energetically? It feels like everything else. It feels like literally everything else. There's nothing extraordinary about this other than you breaking out of the matrix, like you revolutionizing and moving into a place of truth versus what society taught you and religion taught you and your parents taught you, that poverty mentality, right? That's the only really incredible thing going on in this process. The way it feels physically and energetically, it feels like it feels when you haven't had ice cream for 2 weeks because you were on a diet. And then you let yourself have maybe not a whole tub, but maybe like a little gelato or an ice cream cone or a Ben and Jerry's, something small. And it like, that's how it feels. Almost like a high. Okay. It's how it feels when your third drink hits or those gummies kick in, or you haven't met someone romantically you've had chemistry with in a million years. And then you meet this person and it's like you're literally vibrating. And it's like, I forgot this existed. That's how it feels. Okay. And that's how it's designed to feel, because the universe wants you to feel love and blessings and feel good. All right. So, yeah, make it fun. Love it. Love it. Great question. Thank you. I really can't see even with the big font. There is something, I think I need to get to the eye doctor. I hate to admit it, but I'm going to be 47 in June. McKenna, 1998, says, I'm a Libra. Okay. So I spend a lot of time in my head with duality, and can be hot and cold also. How do I know what I need, especially when it comes to partners or people? I always feel like I make the wrong choice. Okay, was that the whole question? It got a little cut off. I think there's just an E missing. I don't think there was more to this. Duality. Can you pop that up one more time? How do I know what I need? Okay, that's what she asked. How do I know what I need? Interesting, especially when it comes to partners or people. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. So, yeah. All right. So, the idea of, and I feel this is someone with a ton of Gemini placements in my chart. Sun, moon, rising, Venus, like on and on, right? That double-mindedness, because Gemini is the twins, very similar to Libra in the way that we behave, and we're both air signs. Libra being the scales, you're constantly looking at things from two different angles. It's like arguing with yourself. You have a thought, and then you're like, yeah, but what about this? And it's like, how did this become a debate? You know what I mean? It's not even a big deal, but it's like we debate everything. We look from different angles on absolutely everything. And we really can't control that part. So we do see the biggest problems. For Geminis, for example, we have issues with procrastination, just making a simple decision. Libras have this problem in relationships to others, the biggest. And that means that you can self-sacrifice who you really are, your authentic self, what you really need, where your boundary line should be set, if there's a boundary at all, to keep the peace, to stay connected. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. To stay connected with others, to even keep the group in harmony. So you can feel the weight on your shoulders, like it's your responsibility to keep everything in working order. So start there. Understand that at the root of all of this, your biggest fear is probably that like things are going to fall apart, and that you feel almost like the parent over group dynamics. So whether that's you and someone else, it's just the two of you, a couple dynamic, or it's a whole group or an entire system. And you need to recognize when that's working against you. I would go back if I were you, and I would write down all the different times and ways in your past. Maybe don't go all the way back, but like, let's look at the last 5 to 6, maybe 7 years for you. That's just a little psychic tidbit, especially 6 years ago. Let's look at that. What happened? How did that feel 5 years ago? Because you came out of that 6th year. Okay. What did that look like? What were the consequences of those choices that you made? And you have to recognize that, you're not a victim in any of this, and I love the way you asked this. You are taking responsibility. You are holding yourself accountable, but it was hard. And at the time of these, let's say, pivotal points, okay, where you either got closer together with people or you went further apart, you either accelerated in your life or you deteriorated. During those times, I don't think you were able to clearly see that these were your decisions. You did feel like a victim. You did feel like the pressure was on you. Therefore, you reacted to that. If you write down everything that happened that you realize was negative, it was the wrong way to go from the last, again, ballpark 5 to 7 years, accentuating that 6th year back. And if you look at the different times you went in the right direction and you incorporate almost like a pro and con list, and you incorporate into your thinking, I understood something in that moment when I made the right decision. I was authentically myself. I included myself in the decision. I didn't exclude myself basing everything on the other person or the group. All right. Because that's when it implodes. Maybe you didn't make it all 100% about yourself, but you incorporated yourself. Right. So there was balance there. How can you do more of that in the future? Because that's really what's at the base of this, that sometimes you're making decisions and you're doing everything for them and you're forgetting all about your needs. The universe sees that as you being inauthentic and as you not taking responsibility. You have a responsibility to caretake over yourself. So you get what I call negative karmic kickback from the universe. That means that the universe removes its blessings from you as well as the hand of protection. So all areas of your life, not just whatever's going on between you and these people, all areas of your life, mental health, money, prosperity in other forms, travel. I mean, it could go on and on and on. Other relationships, everything starts to deteriorate and is negatively affected. So you're needing to realize, when did I give it all away? And when did I do it in a balanced way? It's me and them. And then make sure that you have a game plan going forward so that you don't do that again. This is reforming habits, which don't occur quickly, especially for us air types and us too in particular. I would say Pisces as well, right? The double, the fish. So you have to really retrain your brain to catch when you're about to do it again. And that would come through this alert system. And your question here being like, how do I know what I need? Well, when your body is reacting, okay, in such a way where you are feeling offense, you don't know to what, you're just feeling offensive. You're just feeling on edge. You're maybe agitated or you are depleted. Your energy drops and you're exhausted. You could also feel it like agitation, nervousness, anxiety. You could feel a desire to become isolated out of the blue. Like, I got to run. I have to leave. I must leave the situation now. I must leave the situation now. I must get, to my own personal space. You could have a terrible foreboding. This feeling like the other shoe is going to drop, but you don't know why. Just a terrible feeling like something bad is about to happen. But yeah, so those are some of the physical signs. A burning at the back of your neck going up into your head. Maybe even, this is a little extreme, but the left eye twitching, pain, like a stabbing pain in your stomach. Shaking. Okay, not necessarily from like an anxiety attack, but like just shaking, like your nervous system is becoming dysregulated. And more importantly, look back at all those incidents that we said you're going to write down. You're going to make a list of times when you kind of sold your soul, you sold yourself out, right? And you just gave them everything. You forgot about yourself. Think back to the way you felt during that period of time. Bigger things than just the physical stuff, in that moment, but more like you were having chronic headaches, were you having like chronic, almost like dry mouth, or you were becoming like dehydrated, your immune system dropped, were you getting physical ill? Did you have a lot of illnesses around that time while all of this was playing out? Did you stop remembering your dreams because you were stress dreaming so much trying to fix this at night that you started having nightmares, and then for a while you didn't remember your dreams at all? Okay, what happened to you specifically? Jot that down. Okay, you have to get familiar. And also, you're going to screw up. You're going to screw up in the future until you learn a new habit. So pay attention to the physical, mental, emotional, energetic cues during that time. and just make sure you go back and fix it. And watch also how my mama, watch also how sometimes you could feel detached from spirit. Like, where did spirit go? Why am I not hearing from my loved ones in spirit anymore? Like, why am I not getting signs and symbols? And I feel like everything's, dried up. I was feeling so spiritually connected for a while. It's this. They can't keep communicating with you when you aren't doing right by your own self. I call it the law of the light. They're not allowed. It would be like enabling you. Okay, so they pull back. Also, you could feel detached even from your own psychic ability, which has nothing to do with spirit, but you're like, why can I not connect to my third eye? Why am I not as psychic, as clairvoyant, and that's part of your dreams? Because when you don't choose yourself, you create a block. So you're also blocked that way, right? Just pay attention and write it all down. And I would also just say, and I'm going to move on from this because I feel like I'm going way over on this one, but I feel you truly on this. Because you could see things from both sides, and it can make you waver a bit and give more than what you should to people, or tolerate more than what you should from people, or in group dynamics like this. Just practice saying no. I'm not saying that you're afraid to say no. I don't feel like it's a massive problem for you, but I'm just saying that the more you practice saying no to all types of random things in life, the faster you're going to be next time this pops up, where you can, without hesitancy, just be like, no, or I'll think about it, or how about this answer? I'll let you know. If you're not 100% sure it's okay to do, I'll let you know. Go back and sit with it for a minute and come back with a no. Okay? You don't have to answer right away. Thank you so much for your question. That's a great question. All right, we're going to move on to Love and Beloved. Love and Beloved says, can you speak on maintaining your own resolve and sense of personal integrity while following your own inner truth when others try to persuade you to act against your heart and universal contracts? Okay, so how to maintain your own resolve and integrity when the world is against it. Well, who was this? Love and Beloved, I think. Okay. Yeah, be careful. Okay. First things first, don't get yourself invested in a bunch of contracts you shouldn't be, because it can become nearly impossible to pull this off. When you have, for example, gotten in like a government contract, okay, like marriage, and if your love partner is against your growth, doesn't want you to actually be you, they want you to be who they want you to be for them, you're locked in. Okay, so if it didn't start with a growth mentality, then it will increasingly get worse until you can't authentically be yourself. Okay, so that's just an example of a contract. I don't feel that problem here with you, but it's an example, a great example. Any other type of contracts, verbal, otherwise, where you've gotten yourself locked into a situation where you can't be authentic. The next thing that comes to mind is work, career, being within a specific field. Well, there's an etiquette. I think of the hardest, I've spoken on this before, period of time in my life, and I cried for 3 years. When I spent a decade getting my journalism degree. And then when I was working for, Investigative Post and Channel 2, and I had some great ins with the Buffalo News, and I had gotten scholarships, and I was fresh out of college, and it was looking good for me, real good. And they found out I did psychic mediumship for the public. And they gave me an ultimatum because they didn't want me, I don't know, looking like, I guess, a nut job, right? And I had to wrestle with whether or not I wanted to abandon $90,000+ in student loan debt and the 10 years I had put into my journalism degree and all the great opportunities I had. And I had people, whether it was from the news station, it was from the newspaper, I had people backing me and fighting and defending me and telling them, you need to mind your own business. This is not a concern. Let her do her thing. Like, leave her alone. You know, she's valuable enough to keep, whatever. And as much as I appreciated that, I knew I had to go, or I was going to be released anyways. And I was going to be black booked, you know, for like, it was terrifying. And I left and I chose this. Okay. So we're talking 15 years ago almost now. The young readers who are out there now and the young readers who are here, and you have like no shame or embarrassment, no one's throwing stones at you, your life isn't falling apart, you have no idea how good you have it. Okay. Those of us who pioneered this, it was absolutely brutal. Think of the witches who got burned at the stake. And seriously, love and beloved, you may have to look back into your past lives and see whether that was a storyline for you. Were you silenced by religious orders in your past lives? How was your throat chakra affected in your past lives? Because those of us who are reborn in this life to pioneer something, blaze a trail, right? We're here for the revolution. We are still carrying those wounds from our previous lives, and we are tested in those areas to see if we will bend, fold, cave, not do the work. But you have no real choice here. You can't hide forever. If you lean in to alignment, your life contract, meaning what you came to earth to do, if you choose your work, authenticity, your connection to the universe, the spirit world, your higher mind, right? All things high vibrational. If you choose that, you receive immediate rewards. And that is how you know you're going in the right direction, because everything else around you is freaking burning down, falling down, tumbling, threatening you. You're being ostracized. You're being abandoned. It affected every single area of my life when I made that decision to leave journalism and do this. I thought I was going to die. Okay. If not emotionally, like I could not understand how difficult it was going to be. And I didn't want to. But I tried to just stay present and move through it. So stay out of the past. What did I lose? Where are the losses? All of this grief. Feel the feelings, but don't get stuck in the feelings. F the past. Leave it behind. Leave them behind. Leave the systems behind. Because anytime you're in the past, you're heavy. You're depressed. There are no solutions. Okay? It is a thick, toxic energy. Will take your breath away. Stay out of the future. What will happen? What else could go wrong? You know, oh my God, what if this? Forget it. Forget it. Because the future, leaning too much into the future, will bring nothing but anxiety. You stay in the present moment. I am safe right now. I'm okay. I am here. I am connecting. I am fine where I am right now. This is where the blessings are. And you move through life in that way until the transition is over and you've gone from not being, you know, in your integrity to fully living in that way and receiving so many benefits you would never consider going back, right? And that was my story too. The blessings that I received were ridiculous from doing this work. It blew up in 4 months. I was full-time. I had an agent come to me who said, I've never seen anyone pull this off in less than 25 years. I cannot believe you pulled this off in 4 months. I mean, I was getting, HBO was calling, TLC was calling. I mean, it blew up. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. Okay. But I have stayed with it because I knew when I left journalism, this was my calling. Now, so was that, but this beat it out by far. And I knew that. So it's just a choice to understand that the likelihood of everything and everyone around you being against your work is very high. When we look at a life contract, meaning what you signed on to before you came to Earth, especially for those of us born right now during the revolution, the highest likelihood is that when you do what you're supposed to do, you keep your integrity. It is going to go against the grain. And that's happening for people in regards to their work. It's happening in regards to their faith. It's happening in regards to their relationships, their family dynamics. I mean, this is phenomenal to watch. I'm enjoying it, but it's painful. I feel bad too. I mean, I got my work behind me. So, you know what I mean? I know how painful that is, but you have to essentially not care and turn your emotions off. Just remember, you do control it. Accept them, feel them, process them. And when they're no longer of use, turn them off. Turn them off. Control your brain, control your emotions, control your actions. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And recognize also that those weren't your systems or your people. And that could be a hard pill to swallow. Maybe at one time you did belong there or with them, but not anymore. And you're clearing out the old so that the new can come in. So accept it. Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. In order for a new door to open, another door has to close. Okay? So let them go. Let it go. And as the new comes in, accept it and celebrate it. Yeah. Thank you for that question. I think a lot of people are going through that. Okay. And I would love to hear from you guys in the comments if that is something that you're struggling with also. So let's support each other. I think I'm getting sick. Okay, let's move on to another one. Thank you, love and beloved, for your question. This one is from Edgar. Edgar says, can you advise on staying centered and grounded while speaking our truth? Interesting. Wow, I feel like all three of those questions are very similar. I don't know if that's just my perception. Can you put it back up? Thank you. Okay, so this is Edgar. Advise on staying centered and grounded while speaking truth. Okay, so yeah, another throat chakra issue here. Because our throat chakra is not just about, thank you, Diana. Our throat chakra is not just about what we say. It's about what we don't say. It's about how we dress. It's about how we carry ourselves. It's about what parties we show up to, what we won't show up to, what texts we respond to, what we do feed mentally, what we won't. Okay. There are a million different ways that we communicate. So these are similar questions. So Edgar, wants to know, how do I advise staying centered and grounded while speaking the truth? I think it's overrated. If you have to say it shaking, say it shaking. If you have to write it, clenching your jaw, okay? If you have to put a stamp on it and drop it in the mailbox, feeling like your world is coming down, do it. Do it and do it. The best thing that you can do is to not waste your time on trying to feel okay emotionally or physically, and instead get into a habit of speaking your truth. Because what is emotion stays in motion, and everything gets easier through habit forming and all the things that we all know. Okay, things get easier once you do it. So it's understanding also, I think for you, what may help is knowing that you're coming from a good place, because part of your trouble in staying rooted and grounded when speaking your truth, part of your trouble may be that you were punished for that. You were told your entire life, go back and look at all the systems that did this to you and how you now do it to yourself. You were programmed to believe opening your mouth was a problem. Even if it was the truth, even if it was helpful, even if it was healing, even if it was the best freaking idea that's ever been had under the sun, you were told in a million different ways to be seen, not heard as a kid. And then you were probably restricted with religious ideas and government ideas and the patriarchy and colonization and capitalism. Go down the list, right? Of all the oppressive systems that you still live in today, and understand how they trained you to have this problem. We aren't encouraged to speak truth because it burns down the old systems of control and authority and hierarchy. So once you know that and you see that, again, it's like breaking out of the matrix, right? Once you know that and you see that, you can't unsee it. So it's like every single thing that you do when you have a reaction to like silence yourself or stop, or you start arguing in your head, oh, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's something else, or I shouldn't decide that just yet. Anytime you're talking yourself out of something, stop. What system made me do this? What system is benefiting from me silencing myself right now? And sometimes that's all you need to know. Okay. I feel it. I know it. I've identified it. This system is silencing me. And you could just kind of get almost like, fire in the belly or even enraged, righteous anger, rightfully so. Okay. To speak. And that's not really grounding, right? It's centered. It's being centered for sure. But grounded, when I hear the word grounded, and I think it's highly overrated. I think what most people are looking for when they ask questions like this, how do I stay grounded while I do this, right? Is they're wanting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're wanting to feel regulated. You're wanting to not be uncomfortable. You're wanting to feel better as you go through what can feel traumatic, this act of speaking your truth in front of a brutal, potentially, dangerous audience, or, you could feel telepathically even their attacks. And you don't want to feel all that, but you have to. You don't have to like wallow in it. You don't have to accept it. But to feel grounded in it, I don't know about that. I don't have any advice on that because I gave up on that long ago. It never worked. I have tools. I have a million tools to help people get grounded. But in what you're speaking about, speaking the truth against forces that don't want you to, I don't know about that. You're probably going to feel ungrounded, which doesn't make it true. Okay. But you're going to feel uncomfortable until you get in the habit of doing it all the time. And then you're like, I don't care. I'm going to say it anyways. Or, I know I'm coming from a good place. Like I said to you in the beginning of this answer, I think that'll work well for you. I'm coming from a good place. I'm coming from truth. And the more you know that, you embrace that, you speak from that, you're not going to feel as dysregulated. Right. So it's habit forming. It's another habit forming. Yeah, that's like the second or the third one in a row, right? Habit forming, habit forming, habit forming. I think people also give too much credit to their feelings. And especially in changes like this, because like therapy is always telling us, and there's so much focus on like regulation and regulation. That's a great goal, but we are here to get shit done. This is the revolution. F regulation right now. You know what I mean? It's time to burn this crap down. It just is. And there's nothing comfortable about where we are or what we were just born into. But you did choose it. We'll be regulated when we're out of it. Okay? And I'm not saying it's not a good goal to get regulated or rooted and grounded, but you have to be realistic. And it is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the very bottom is fighting and doing whatever you have to do to get food and shelter and safety. That's where we are right now. All of us. And that's okay. Once that's established, we can be in our feelings and we can focus on regulation and all the things. Okay. But for now, get the work done. Just get it done off like a Band-Aid. Let it come out. It will get easier, I assure you. But if you have to do it shaking, do it shaking. Let's move on to another question. Okay. We're going to move on to Nature Calls You. Okay. Nature Calls You asks, do you have any advice on how to quickly transition between normal life stuff to listening to spirit and back again? You do this masterfully and seamlessly, and I find it amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Nature Calls You. Leave that up for a second, Diana. Okay, so basically, how do we shift? Okay. Okay. So yes, this is a big part of my psychic mediumship course. If you really want to learn this, like as a master skill, as like a reader or a healer, for example, you may want to take that course, because I spend literally 28 weeks training you in how to do this through exercises and unblocking and all the things, education, and it's a ton of fun. Okay. We start February 3rd and registration is closing soon. So I would highly recommend this to you. But one of the easiest things that you can do, if this makes sense, you have to just practice it, is to control your brain so that you're switching from the left to the right. So if you look at most of the mediumship trainings, and I don't think they deserve that title, quite frankly. If you look at them internationally, they are based on not only taking a ton of your money and getting you to waste years of your life doing this, but they are based heavily on meditation, which is trash. Meditation has nothing to do with this at all. At all. We don't meditate in my course in the entire 28 weeks once. You don't ever meditate. It's not even homework. So get out of the mentality of all these old school pacifist trainings where they don't actually want to teach you how to do it, or they don't know how. Leave it behind and just focus on this one thing to start. And that is that the left side of your brain, which you control where you go. You don't need a spirit to teach you or meditation or anything. Do it right now. You have the left side, the logical side of your brain, where you're always like solving problems and figuring things out and overthinking and, sorting through stuff, the life stuff that you were talking about, processing. And you have the right side of your brain, which is where creatives go, which is where intuition is, which is where mediumship is. This is why when my students come in for psychic mediumship, I will tell them toward the end of the course, now go pick up a guitar, sit down at the piano, get an organ, get the paints out, write a book, They end up, the last girl I had got a record deal for singing and performing. She didn't even know she could do it. I have people who end up painting. They become artists, picking up, even like the guitar is a common one. I don't know why, but anyways, maybe they tried in the past and they were never good at it. They pick it up, but they could play by ear. Why is that? Because it's being in the flow state. And whether it's being an artist or automatic writing and you become an author, or you're a musician, or you're doing mediumship, or you're doing healing for other people, it's all channeling and it's all flow state. Left brain has nothing to do with it. Left brain is in the way. In this example, the left brain would be the block. So it's leave that and get disciplined enough to stay on the right side for as long as you can. Now, with my students, we start with 5 minutes and then we increase it to like 8, 10, 15. I get them up to 30. If they could do 30, they could do an hour. And if they could do an hour, they could do anything. Okay. They could do like a 2-hour gallery show. They could do 3 hours of readings. They could do readings back to back, like psychic fairs or parties. So you have to build up your stamina, because anything typically to begin with over 5 minutes will cause vomiting and dizziness. No, there's nothing wrong with you. You'll be fine. I used to be a personal trainer. I used to train up athletes, like professional athletes. And I got sort of a bit of a promotion the day I made my, he was a professional baseball player. I made him puke. Okay. Because I had like these, obstacle courses set up for them. They were like, how the hell did you do this? And he loved me. I mean, I got a big contract with him and everything. Right. So like, it's like working out. When you push yourself up over that edge, okay, you're like, I'm going to die. You're not going to die. You may throw up. Okay. But you're probably not going to die unless you're super old. And I can't prescribe a diagnosis. I'm not telling anyone to go cause themselves to like have a stroke or anything. But like, you're probably not going to die. And this is anyone who's gone through significant weight loss, like 30 pounds or more, you know what this is. You have to get up and over that hump. And when you do that, you get a whole new burst of energy and stamina and clarity, and you could stay longer. So it's sort of like that point in your workout where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then you throw up and you can get right back into it. Or drinking. This is not a good example, but a lot of people do this purposefully. You know, you throw up so that you can drink more. It's all the same thing. So you can do more, but you have to incrementally increase how long you stay on the right side of your brain. Okay. So, you know, I tell my students that one of the perks of learning this is that they can typically, I used to say they can give 16 readings in a row, but they're up to 19, 20, 21. I think I had a girl this summer at a gig we did do like 24 in a row. The average reader maxes out at 6. At 6 readings, the average reader will start to get things wrong and they start to get physically ill, or they're exhausted, or they're going numb. Their face is going numb. They're losing sight, vision, hearing. You know what I mean? They're going to throw up is basically what's going to happen. So you have to train your brain. And again, it has nothing to do with meditation or any of that cha-cha that they teach you. You have to train your brain to go from left to right. So lean in to creative things, lean into the flow state, lean into drumming or music or walking. Sit for 10 to 15 minutes. I would not exceed 15 quietly and call in your guides, your angels, your ancestors, your loved ones, your pets on the other side, and your higher mind, and sit there and ask them to show you things and see what symbols pop in your head, what colors come up, what you're feeling physically, emotionally, right? And just sit with it and ask more about that. I want to stay with this. What does this mean? What are you showing me? Don't try to control it, but you are controlling that you're on the right side of your brain. And every time a thought comes in, be like, left has to go. Anytime the left comes in, not right now, not right now. Shut it down. Okay. I think it's fun. I mean, I think it's incredible. It's an absolute phenomenon. Who knew we could just sit down and like be determined to give readings? Who knew? Everybody can. Everybody's designed to do it. Everyone. Let's move on to another one here. This is from Edgar. Edgar says, yes, it's difficult. Okay, so this is a response. Edgar's question was like 2 people ago, I think. He said, yes, it is difficult speaking my truth as a therapist, especially if the parents don't want to hear it, but I still will continue to try. Yeah. Well, and probably because you're in a field, you're in a work environment, you don't want to rock the boat. Again, when we talk about systems threatening you, but they're like invisible systems, your money's being threatened in that moment. Your security, the roof over your head, your vehicle is being threatened. Your resources, your safety and security are being threatened in that moment. It's not just that a parent doesn't want to hear you. It's that you've been trained up, okay, from birth due to capitalism to be submissive. What if a higher up were to come and say, oh, you did that, you did it wrong, you know, or this isn't going to work here. I mean, even if it doesn't seem logical, because you know you're doing the right thing, you're fearing it. You're fearing it. Easiest thing to do, look it in the eyes, break it down and expect it. Be prepared for it. All right. Thank you for that question, or thank you for that feedback. I'm going to fix TikTok real quick before it starts giving me Well, it's not, I'm not really, actually, I'm on the wrong side. Okay, I switched you guys. Let me just fix something here. Now, TikTok, I'm not going to lose you, but if I do, I'll go right back to the live. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see where we are. All right, what was I didn't see the next one. CJG. Are we good? I think we're good. We're fine. All right. Oh, I forgot to ask. Could you guys please give this video some love? I really do appreciate it. Just give it a heart. Let me know in the comment section where you're tuning in from. And if you need to book a reading, a healing party, or psychic fair with me, go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. Please do share this and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for the hearts on TikTok. I love you guys. You're always such amazing support. CJG says, I'm noticing many women becoming aware of abusive patterns and openly speaking about it. Is this part of a larger collective or spiritual shift for women? Yes, it's the revolution. We're returning to a matriarchy. It's going to be a long, dirty journey. Always has been. But we're done. So women have gone through the awakening, right? It already started to happen. I started speaking about this, I think, more frequently in 2016. You can go back and watch my old videos on this, but I would speak a lot about how it's going to go women, natives, minorities, Black women in particular, and then it sort of ends with like Native women. But there are phases to this revolution. And the biggest part of it is going to be women taking over in leadership. In order for that to happen, the patriarchy had to be burnt down because it's trash. And so the religious orders, for example, it kind of starts there. And we've seen this with the church. Like the church has been deteriorating for a long, long time. Most churches are shut down. You know, even when they congregate and they mix together like 3 churches, 4, 5, 6 different, they can't. They're not making it. They won't make it. It is over. It is over. Because the way the patriarchy took over was mostly through Christianity. Right? So it was beating into submission. Now my TikTok puzzle is up. All right, let me fix this. It was beating women into submission in the patriarchy through Catholicism and religion, and then creating family systems, social systems that made you feel like you were going to be ostracized if you didn't get married. It was convincing women that their only worth, was to have their children young, get married young, to be picked. And now we know that women, their eggs don't go bad. They don't go rotten in their 30s or 40s or even 50s, but sperm does. Yeah, after I think it's 25, men's sperm. And we're now finding out that all of these disabilities that babies have are from the men. So they blamed women. So they got into the sciences and they told lies, and it's all being exposed. The other thing was money. So women were forced into submission, into the patriarchy, into things like marriage. They were forced because they couldn't, let's say, get a credit card until 1978. I think it was until, was it 2019? A woman couldn't open up her own business, like get a business loan without a man. 2019. 1978. How many of you here, was that like right around the time you were born? You're lucky you weren't born right, you know what I mean? So that's our moms, that's our grandmoms, that's like our, great grandmothers. That's like every woman before us was trapped. She couldn't even feed herself without. And if there was land, like she couldn't have generational wealth either, because the land was going to the males, the land was going to the sons. So all of these systems of entrapment have slowly been coming down as women have forged ahead. And the final nail in the coffin is 4B. I had a group, I don't know if you guys were on it, and I did quite a few shows. They're here in my YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium, but I even did one on 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, 8B. What do these mean? So this started in Korea, and so we adopted it here in America because it was successful in Korea, continues to be successful in Korea for women's liberation. It's a political movement, you could say, but it is cutting men off, meaning we don't shop at male-owned businesses. We don't support other women who are male-centered and will sell out the evolution of the sisterhood for men. Foot soldiers for the patriarchy, you cut those women off. It's that the 3Bs, okay, so originally you're like 4B. It was that you don't have sex with men, you don't date men, you don't have children by men, and you absolutely do not marry. You get into no government contract with a man. So it's also, I think it's 5B, maybe. I don't think I haven't had them all memorized. I think I had notes, okay, when I did those classes. But there's even one that says, like, don't befriend men, because men only befriend women, because in the patriarchy, men were taught from birth to extract from women. So even in friendships, men only see you as something to extract from. Or if they get a woman, they ditch you. Or they're only there to try to sleep with you. Or like the way women supported LGBTQ rights, and women have consistently been behind our gay brothers in marching and fighting for their rights and political movements. But where were they when Roe v. Wade was overturned? They didn't show up for us. They haven't shown up for us. Have you seen men marching for us? Nope. They dropped us. They have always dropped us, and we have to now behave like they will always drop us. So we cut them off. Okay. So that even goes down to male friendships, and even with your gay male friends, if they're not significantly supporting women's rights, even knowing it's all connected, even knowing that when women's rights are attacked, their rights are also being attacked because they're feminine energy. The hatred has been against feminine energy in general, not just women, anything feminine. We are in a place now where, because the men have been cut off, because it only takes, is it 13% of the population to do it? I don't remember the exact percentage, but we know from Korea, like how much it takes to work. Women exceeded that long ago. Like I would say probably 2 to 3 years ago, we exceeded it. I joined 4B. It was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned. I joined, and I haven't come out, nor do I plan to, not until the policies change. So what this means is essentially we're holding the line. And every 6 months or so, you see new research come out on whether it be the male loneliness epidemic, or how men are falling behind, or how dangerous this is, that men won't be able to reproduce, and that their bloodlines are about to go out. And there's like all this, force women into dealing with them. And women are like, nope, less and less and less every day. So what we're seeing is that men are rapidly deteriorating financially, mentally, physically. They're offing themselves, all the things, because women are no longer doing the free labor. And as women take more responsibility for that, and we hold each other accountable more and more, and we continue to educate on the sisters who are like, I don't know, living under a rock, or choosing to be foot soldiers is how I see it. They're choosing to be foot soldiers for the patriarchy. The more we cut them off and we leave them with nothing but that poor male company that's using them, leave them. Okay. We are moving faster and faster toward the matriarchy. I would also say that, and I did a couple shows on this. You guys can go back. You put it into my YouTube in the search bar. But Pluto and Aquarius, this is the revolution. This was January of 2025. The revolution really activated. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. That is where we saw things move at like 10 times the speed. I like to say it's 10 times the karmic delivery that it used to be. Everything's moving so fast. And we haven't seen this in 250 years. We're talking the French Revolution, the American Revolution, right? All of this planetary movement that's going on right now, supporting the revolution, is quick. So everything that we're doing as women is getting really fast, like, results and payout. And I think that's giving us the stamina, the endurance to be like, damn, this feels good. This is amazing. Look at the power we had, all along. And we did have it all along, but we had to come together. We had to collectively get on the same page, right? So thank you, 4B. Thanks to the Korean women. And I think American women have been pretty amazing in this, right? And for those foot soldiers who want to, we all know who they are, they want to hold us back. What they're going to be seeing is an extreme state of isolation. They've already got the immune systems deteriorating, the cancer, the mental health in the toilet. I mean, they've already got all that. They're going to start seeing extreme isolation, because I think even a lot of those sisters who are on the fence or who are waking up from the brainwashing are going to be ditching, even, in like 2027 more. 2028 is going to be real interesting with this. So yeah, we're moving toward the matriarchy. Love it. It's about time. I thought it would be a little bit more fun, but whatever. I think we're getting there. So stick with other women, build communities based on women, support other women in business, cut off anyone who's not for it. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is Love and Beloved said, thank you for speaking truths, Ivy. Your answers are very helpful and open possibilities. You walk the walk. Thank you, Love and Beloved. I do walk the walk, 100%. I appreciate that. Wailari, I know, is Yolanda. Yolanda says, hello, Ivy. Any advice on overcoming survivor's remorse? Keep that up a second, Diana. Survivor's remorse. Overcoming financial distress. Oh, okay. There's a couple things in here. Financial distress, trauma, and any type of hardship. Okay, so here's her question in completion here. She says, any advice on overcoming survivor's remorse, financial distress, trauma, and any type of hardship? Okay, well, I mean, I'm not gonna have time to get into all of those because those are different approaches for sure. But let's start with your first. Probably this is the most important one to you, right? Survivor's remorse. I would say that, or a lot of people just call this like survivor's guilt, how to get past survivor's guilt. That one's tough because I see it more as grief. Excuse me. I see it more as grief. And so it's the type of grief that never leaves us. And we're not really allowed to examine that very much, okay, in our culture, because we're expected to grieve quickly when we deal with loss, whether it be like job loss, loss of a parent, it doesn't matter what. It's like, let's go again, because America is all about that capitalism, right? So we don't have time for grief. I know a lot of people who've lost their jobs when they had a parent they were caretaking who wasn't dying fast enough in hospice, right? Or a spouse or a child. Absolutely brutal. So we aren't only not grieving properly in this country, but we don't ever talk about the long-term effects. The way that grief for a lot of people never leaves. We simply pick up our baggage and we try to breathe every day and keep moving with it on. And maybe in time, some of it does get lighter. The heaviness, the sickness, the depression, maybe it does. Maybe it does get lighter. But that doesn't mean it goes away. Okay. Or you learn better tools to cope with it. Okay, that's awesome. But it can still be there, you know? So I think understanding that this is not ever really discussed. It's not discussed because it's not allowed. Um, and recognizing the truth behind it, which is that it isn't going to just like heal or go away. And it's not like a normal state of grief that a lot of people go through with, like, maybe they lost, you know, a close loved one, or they lost a grandparent or even a parent. It's not that type of grief. Survivor's guilt is extraordinarily intense. I had a vision of a friend of mine who was going to be killed by this guy when I was living in New York City. I was having all the same visions of like 9/11, and all of that happened. I got out with 9 days to spare from the towers going down. At the same time, I was having these visions of a friend of mine who's going to be killed by this other guy. I went and I found my friend. I hadn't seen him in years. He went from being like almost 300 pounds, he was this huge guy, to looking just skin and bones. And he was unrecognizable. It was drugs. Long story short, I took him out, I fed him, and I warned him about what I saw. And he told me that he was ready to go, that he lived a full life, and that he appreciated me telling him. And he knew I was always getting stuff like this, but he was ready to go. And a year later, almost to the day, that guy killed him. And I cannot express to you how guilty I feel to this day when I think about him, or I receive a visit from him, or a song. I know he sent me a song, or some experience we shared pops up. It is like a punch in the gut. My breath is taken away. I can't even talk about it right now because he tried to get me to help him just before it happened. He tried to come stay with me and wanted me to help him detox. I couldn't do that. I had kids. I couldn't put my children at risk. As much as I loved and adored him, I couldn't help him. So I told him no. I didn't cut him off. I was still talking to him, and then it happened. Sometimes things happen, and they're gonna happen. They were meant to happen. It's on schedule to happen. It's karmic. It's not your fault, but you can't ever get past the fact that you had a contract with this person, and and usually this is when it's the worst, is when like drugs are involved, or they died slowly, or they were somewhat responsible for their passing, or fully responsible for their passing. The S word. I can't say things on YouTube, but like anything like that is typically the worst. Or this was a child of yours. I mean, these are the worst of the worst. And it's the contract that you had with this person that makes it so unbearable, because we see it happen to people we know every day. And it's like, whatever, I feel bad about that. You know what I mean? But it's not like, it's not something that haunts you. And when you recognize that you had cords with this person because you had a contract with this person, you recognize energy exchange. The cords keep two people together. There's a class on my website called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting. There's another one that goes hand in hand with it called Karma Contracts and Past Lives. Watch those. Learn, get educated on what a contract is with another person, how extremely intense it can be, how karmic, and how these freaking cords work. because cords, it's like the universe said, you know what? People are always wandering off from each other. Let's put a leash on them. Let's literally link them up together so they can't escape each other. And that's exactly what happens. So you and this other person, you were able to telepathically communicate. You had clear empathy. You could feel each other's feelings. If something happened in their life, you knew it, vice versa. They can manipulate your energy. They can pull and tug at that cord, meaning they're always popping in your head. And it's like, it's involuntary. I mean, it's hard to control, hence cord cutting. They show up in your dreams all the time. They do astral travel to get to you, whether you want them there or not. Signs and symbols of them are popping up all around you all the time. It is extremely intense when you have a contract with someone else. And when that person passes, and it's something tragic, so you have the survivor's guilt, that contract doesn't just dissolve. Like none of that goes away. Now, again, you can do cord cuttings and things like this, and you can control it to an extent, but you also have to honor the reality, the karmic lessons that were in this for you, and know that it's something you're going to carry for the rest of your life. Don't even bother trying to get rid of it, but you want to find good, healthy tools to help you maintain and control it the best you can. Because when it hits you, like I can't even think of him, when it hits you and it's like a punch in the gut, you can't breathe. You can't keep going in life. Like you have to keep taking these breaks, these timeouts to like, and it can affect you for days. So remember that in anything like this, pain to power, what is alchemy? What is transmutation? 1, 2, 3 steps. It is the pain of the experience, the brutality of the experience, the grief, the loss, the trauma. Step number 2 is the transmutation, the alchemizing from pain to power. And step number 3 is giving it out to other people. So it is entirely possible. And it's not a suggestion. You're not allowed to hoard it. You have to give it out to other people. What you learned, how to help people alchemize, how to prevent it from happening to other people. Okay. Every single hardship we go through in life is supposed to ultimately, at the third and highest level of alchemy, be given out to others for wisdom, for power. And most people never reach that point because the minute they feel like they've got enough of their healing under control, they hoard it. And they go, well, I'm okay. I'm certainly not going to bring it up again. I'm not going to think about it any more than I have to. I don't want to go there. And we're not allowed to do that. Okay. This is why we have no progression as people. This is like the problem, right? In my opinion, because no one's sharing and understanding that every hardship you've ever had, whether you're born into a marginalized community or minority, you've had a lot of trauma, you were neglected or abused as a child, you've gone through drug addiction. I don't care. You have a disease. I mean, that's a big one. I don't care what it is. Okay. All of that within your life contract is meant for you to go out and teach and to give it out once you've gotten through the alchemy stage, or at least some of the alchemy stage. It's also where your money is, where your following is, right? Where like your ministry is. This is where it's at. So this is why a bunch of people are unhappy and unfulfilled, because they're not working with what they've got. And you've already done the hard part probably, but you're just not giving it out. So also that I think helps with survivor's guilt, But when did this happen? Was this when my buddy died? So this was not right after the year after 9/11. How long has it been? And I still, struggle to, but am I talking about it? Yeah. With like mascara running down my face, but like still, you got to do it. You got to give it out in whatever way you're called to do it. And it makes it less so. At least I feel like there's more purpose. And humans just need that. We need to feel like we're making sense of things. Like something good maybe will come of this, Thank you. That's a really, really good question. As far as the money and the other stuff, I can't get to all that today, but This kind of applies, I mean, to anything. You can like just move that around to different circumstances. Anna Teresa 10. Okay, moving on to Anna Teresa 10. Advice for how to make new meaningful friendships. I love this. I have lovely friends already, but I do want to build new friendships that are more aligned with me at this stage in my life. Okay, and my right ear is ringing. So how to make new friends more in alignment. My stomach is growling because I'm fasting again. It seems like I say that all the time. It's because I do it every couple days. How to make new friends in alignment. Okay. Sorry, guys. That is very loud. So I did I don't know if it was a church sermon or if it was a free mini class. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but you can search it on my YouTube. At Ask Ivy, the meeting. It's called How to Make Friends, literally. Okay. I was super duper creative on that title. So it was just how to make friends. And I think it ran like an hour and a half even. I gave like all these literal, just broke it down into like, do this, do this, do this, do this. So for any of you who are struggling, or if you are in a situation like Anna, where it's like, I have lovely friends, but also, I'm changing, or like we don't, think the same, or I'm evolving more spiritually, or whatever it is. Maybe you move to a new place, that's tough. Go watch that. Okay. But I will say that when you want to, specifically what you're asking here is, how do I make new friends that are more in alignment, okay, with like where I am, where I'm going? You're going to want to pay more attention to what it is that you're trying to attract. So it's almost like visualizing. Okay, here are a couple tricks. Here are a couple quick tricks. One time I didn't date for like, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years. I was doing mom stuff, and I was getting my degree, and it was not important to me. So I cut it off for a while so I could focus on what was important. But one day I decided I was ready. I was ready to get back into it. So what you do, and it worked in 24 hours. And I've done videos on this. 24 hours. I got a date. So what you do is you visualize that you're a cab, like a taxi cab. You're in New York City, you're a taxi cab, okay? And your light is off right now. Okay, so Anna, let's say that because you already have friends and you haven't maybe been making a ton of new ones, kind of like your light is off right now, okay? So you want to, as the taxi cab, turn your light on. Taxi is on, it says taxi. Now people know, they could flag you down, you could pull over, you can start getting customers, okay? And the minute that light goes on, people start to come your way. Remember that you are going to attract everything. Okay, shitty friends, amazing friends, friends in between. I mean, everything. Everyone looking for a friend, everyone looking for a friend. Be careful, okay? But you can sift through that, okay? At least it's coming. You can narrow it down and attract higher as you go by getting more specific. I want make a list, for example. I want friends who are aligned with me in this way or that way or the other way, or believe this spiritually, or, are a big thing for women these days is, I don't want any girlfriends who have not de-centered men, who have not deconstructed from the patriarchy. None of those chicks. I don't want any of those chicks around me. None of them. So like, that's just an example, but it's super common. It's happening right now with, I would say, most women in the States, at least. Therefore, because we're all kind of like got our radar on and we're all looking for each other, we're making friends like that very quickly. Maybe you want friends who know how to talk about their goals for the future or more intellectual things, spiritual things, whatever. Maybe they're willing to do like solo travel, or they're interested in adventures, or small group travel, picture things also, if this is what you want, like the Golden Girls. So when I'm looking for new friendships, I like to watch episodes of the Golden Girls, just to kind of, it's helping me to be in the energy when I don't have it yet. I don't have these women yet. So I'm hanging out with three women who have each other. You know what I'm saying? And I'm basking in that energy by watching that show, or I'll let it play when I'm asleep. And that helps me to manifest more easily. Okay. And they can see the light on top of my taxi. I'm looking for friendships like that, where we can travel together. We could talk about anything. We could do shared resources. We could build each other up. We can even do cohabitation. I think that would help a lot. There was something else I was going to tell you, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I think that'll work. I do talk a little bit in that class, though, how to make new friends, about how your other relationships, old ways of thinking, old friendships can sometimes get in the way. And that's not like, oh, you have to ditch your old friends, but it is about maybe the way you think. It can restrict in some areas what you're manifesting with new people coming in. So just be careful, because again, law of attraction, what you feed, you get more of, and how you're working, how you're in alignment within law of attraction affects your manifestation, right? And what is in motion stays in motion. So just keep that in mind when examining your current friendships and your ideas and beliefs about friendships. But it is something I think everyone should be careful of, whether you're manifesting like, dating, okay, I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to date, or you're manifesting, new friendships, or you're manifesting like a chosen family for yourself, or you want to bring in more members of your soul tribe, which you really can't force. Okay. Those are based on contracts. But whatever it is that you're manifesting, be realistic and don't let it send you running for the hills. Be realistic that whenever you manifest things, you get high and low vibration typically. Everything is going to come. And you have to sift through that and be patient and really use your discernment. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Okay. And we never want to rush a friendship. I talk about that a lot in the class, taking it slow. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is from Josie C. 6772. Josie says, "Hi, Ivy. Hi, Josie. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. So I'm constantly dreaming about the man that I have a huge crush on. What exactly is going on there, and why does that happen?" Well, again, this isn't a psychic mediumship reading, so I'm not going to be looking at like whether or not there's a contract, or if you're subconsciously doing this to yourself. But that may be worth spending time on. You can get a love reading. It's up on my website. But can you pop that back up? I want to see exactly how she worded that. Sorry. I'm making Diana nuts tonight. Okay, what exactly is going on there? Okay, why does that happen? So why are you constantly dreaming? Okay, why does that happen? Okay. All right. Thank you, Diana. So a couple different things. I have a dreams class up on the website, okay? I talk about subconscious dreaming. Subconscious dreaming is where you manipulate a fantasy or a scenario, even a visitation with a deceased loved one, and you tell yourself that you're getting together with this person and you're playing out these storylines, okay, to fulfill whatever need it is that you have. Or if it's like you want to rewrite the ending, you don't like the way something ended with someone, or to try to control things a little bit more because you feel out of control, okay? And you are. Whenever you're dealing with another human being, you are out of control. You can control your end, but you can't, force them into anything. So it could be some of that. Now, the other reason this can happen, and I talk about this in the relationships, boundaries, and cord cutting class, is that you have a contract with this person. And that contract means that you have work to do with this person. There are 3 different types of contracts. Twin flames are bullshit. Never, ever fall for that crap. Okay. That's a way to make women think that they're half of a whole and to keep them chasing after abusive and neglectful male partners, typically. And readers make a ton of money off of this. Run. So it's not even a real thing. My entire life doing this type of work, I never heard of it until a few years ago when people started making money off of it. Never heard of it. It doesn't exist in numerology, astrology. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Okay. But there are contracts. That is real. And that would be soulmate, soul tribe, and karmic. Soul tribe, we don't really have to talk about. That's not that big of a deal. It won't be obsessive like this anyways. Karmic and soulmate certainly could be. Now, when you have a contract with someone, you essentially have work to do together or lessons that need to be learned together, or you're supposed to be like building things. Astrologers would call it North Node, which means in this life you have future work to do together, possibly even in future lives you have work to do together. Depends on the astrology. You'd have to look. You could also have what's called, or astrologers call, South Node, which means you had past life history together. So this typically ranges, when it gets this intense, from like 3 to 5, maybe even 8 past lives where you were together. And it peaks when you come together in this life romantically. So in other past lives, maybe this was your child, or you guys were siblings, or you were war buddies, or business partners, and maybe some of it was romantic. But the most intense ones are the romantic connections. So what ends up happening is that you come together in this life, and it can feel obsessive, addictive. The cords are keeping you connected so that you are pulling and tugging at the other person's energy voluntarily and involuntarily. They're pulling and tugging at you voluntarily and involuntarily. They show up in your dreams, so they manipulate your sleep state. You work together also in your dreams. You can show up in their dreams. Signs and symbols of this person show up all around you. Their name may come up all the time. It's freakish. Until you think you're crazy, until you think you're going crazy. And it's like you're being haunted. It's like you're being haunted by this other person. Now, if you were to get together and then you were to ever, like, for example, need to take a break, or you were to fully break up or whatever, the body goes through a withdrawal, like it's withdrawing from a drug. And this is for both karmic and soulmate connections, if they're romantic. And so you would see like a drop in body temperature, shaking, flu-like symptoms. Basically, people who have a contract, like, don't go very far, right? Which is how the universe designed it. So they typically get back together again over and over and over and over and over again. And even if they don't, they're haunted by the other person for the rest of their life. Hence cord cutting. It helps take the edge off a bit. Now, the universe does not support you being involved in a toxic relationship whatsoever. And karmic relationships are debt owed. So you're not supposed to heavily get involved in that. So you want to be careful. Because if it's karmic, it's get in to learn the lessons or get the debt that's due you, but don't stay there. I say get in and get out. Get in and get out. But it will be as intense as a soulmate connection. Soulmate connection is a work contract, meaning the two of you came together to like build stuff and do stuff and heal stuff. And it's more supportive. It tends to feel more like a friendship. But upon meeting this person, regardless, you would have felt like you had known them forever. You would have felt incredibly familiar, as in comfortable. If you are noticing sparks sexually, wait until you get together with them. It is the most intense SE you will probably ever have in your life, okay? And it doesn't take any effort. It's unbelievable. Okay. It's ridiculous. It's like you're just standing next to this person. It's almost orgasmic. It's ridiculous. There are moments where you're having flashbacks to previous lives where you were together. And you can usually share that information. Like, I had this dream, about like us in a past life. Of course, you don't look like you. You look like you did in a past life. They would often have the same identical dreams. Okay. Which goes to show you like what you're supposed to be picking up from or continuously working on. Maybe like you have some unfinished business from that life. And so it gives you a real like vantage point into like why we're together again in this life. You know what I mean? How can you use that information? So both of you are having past life flashbacks, past life dreams. You're hearing more from your Akashic record guide who holds your past life information. Da 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 da. Okay? That's why it happens. Or you're making it up. You're just like really into this person, and it could be like chemistry. Just chemistry can do that. But I think there could be something bigger here. If you notice you do it with a lot of people, it's probably just you, though. Love that. Love that question. I would love to hear from people in the comments. Like, when did you have this with someone? Right? Because it doesn't have to be someone you married or that it even worked out. Most soulmate connections won't work out. And karmic connections, if you stayed too long, they ended up being a horrible idea. But I would love to hear from you guys when you had that level of addiction to that other person, that level of synergy. It was ridiculous and haunting. And like, with who, when, how did you handle it? Like, what went on? What's the storyline there? Let's move on to another one. Hunter Santiago says, hi, Ivy. Hey, Hunter. I have some pretty rough ADHD. How can I better advocate for myself with my doctor for treatment, assuming it's not due to being an empath? Okay. So Hunter, advocacy with doctor for ADHD, and is it connected to empathic ability? Okay, well, let's go backward. Hopefully, like, my ADD doesn't make me forget the first part of this question. But essentially, you do want to rule out what is empathic ability, especially at the higher levels. So level 3 for empathic ability. For those of you who aren't familiar, I have a training up on the website called Empathic Awareness. I teach it at universities. I train therapists, doctors, educators. You can even get teacher credits for it, parents. It's a big deal. And it needs to be taken seriously when we're looking at anything mental health. Okay. So if you can take that class and utilize the tools taught in that, Hunter, for probably 2 to 3 months, you should be able to rule out what is empathic ability, meaning you can control this. Okay. On your own, you can control this with the tools, and what isn't. So I'll keep that part short and sweet. Then you have left over whatever your doctor isn't looking at. I would say that the best thing to do, if you're finding that your doctor isn't like taking you seriously enough, giving you the time, being helpful enough, maybe talk instead. I can't prescribe or diagnose, but like maybe talk instead to the right kind of therapist instead of just the doctor. I'd been misdiagnosed since I was 5 years old. They started taking me out of class because I was going in and out of trance state for mediumship. And they started running tests on me at 5 years old. That went all the way in through my 30s. And I'm telling you, these people were so insanely useless, they almost killed me. Thank God I left and said, forget it. I'll figure it out myself. And they never got a diagnosis right. Ever. Not once. Not once. And it started at 5. So do not waste your time, okay, with these so-called professionals who don't know maybe what they're talking about, or it's like, I'll take my best guess, or I'll give you this med or this diagnosis, and like it's not helping, and they don't fix it ever, like it's not going in the right direction because they're not listening to you. Get on instead, switch the doctor, of course, but like get on to talking maybe to a more helpful therapist, someone who can specialize a bit more in utilizing tools and like deprogramming, reprogramming, um, nervous system regulation and things like this. Because a huge part of like in the empathic awareness training, I'm talking about overstimulation, overabsorption, right? This is an opportunity for you to find a better route, several better routes than just beating your head up against a wall. And I would say just don't be very patient with it. From someone who wasted, you know what I mean, 30 plus years on these random doctors who just insisted they were figuring it out, they'll be the one to figure it out. No. If you have seen a red flag, let the first red flag be the last red flag. Okay. Switch to someone else. I wouldn't spend a ton of time there. They also don't really know enough. And we know this for a fact. They just don't know enough, and they're not inclined to figure it out. They're much better at just using big pharma and like prescribing something than they are at actually doing the research and investigating and trying to give more helpful tools. So it could be designed systematically to force you into the position you're in, right? And to constantly have to look at like, how do I advocate better and better and better for myself? Like, why isn't this working? Maybe it's by design. Okay. So just be realistic with that too. I think in this case too, you may want to look more into different outlets, whether it be TikTok or it be YouTube, where you're getting more into the neurodivergent community and you're finding on their therapists who are there for the right reasons, and they've really done their own research, not just depending on whatever research has been done out there, but like they're doing their own research and they're really hands-on in the community, allowing for deeper discussions, sharing of information, better tools, and you can probably learn a lot more there. Because if you hit the right video, if you, whether this be from someone coping with what you are, or struggling, or the right like doctor or therapist, even sometimes I'll see videos on like different types of medications or things, right? If you find the right video, you're going to go right down into that comment section and it's going to branch off into 10 other videos. And it's absolutely amazing. And a lot of these people do lives these days. And they just educate that entire time. I just did, hey, TikTok. I just did my first live the other night where it was just like unfiltered and it was super fun. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. But that's what we did. We talked about like, it was just education. It was talking about paranormal stuff that was happening here in the house. And it was just, so you can ask questions and you're not fighting up against a system that is already rigged against you. It's more authentic. I would say look at alternatives. And that's how you can advocate for yourself, but not necessarily like through your doctor. As far as your doctor is concerned, and if you stay with that person, just speak up. Have a list of things, that you have questions about or that you've observed or that are concerning you. And don't leave until you've gotten through your list and you've gotten answers. Trap them there. They're getting paid a ridiculous amount. Don't let them leave. Turn the tables. Okay. Let's move on to another one. This is Bethany Renner, 5810. Oh, okay. This is from her question earlier. So she says, thank you, Ivy. I appreciate you answering my question. It sounds like the work continues and I appreciate your honesty. Absolutely, Bethany. I think Bethany was the first question. Yes. So Bethany had asked, how do we receive love and blessings? What does it actually feel like physically and energetically to receive love and blessings? So if you guys want to hear back that, you can do the playback to the very first question. Yes, the work continues, and that is lifelong. And I think it will be for most of us because we were born into programming that stripped us of that. So that's just our lot in life, you know? But it does get easier. We get faster and better at it. Jennifer Standish 5047 said, my cats aren't getting along and I don't know what to do. Onyx, my black cat, is suffering from biting her back, no fleas, and is spooked easily. I wish I could help her. Okay, so we will have the pet readings show added to the 2026 show lineup coming up here soon. You can also book a pet reading with me anytime if you want to look at this more in depth. Okay, but let me give you some basic info here. So Onyx, oh, was there a part 2? Can you go back, Diana? Onyx is the black cat. Okay, biting back, no fleas. Let's start this over and then I'm just gonna read the whole thing. Ready? And then you pop up the second half when I'm done with this. My cats aren't getting along and I don't know what to do. Onyx, my black cat, is suffering from biting her own back. She does not have fleas. She's spooked easily. I wish I could help her. And there's so much uncertainty in my life. I can't seem to get my head on straight, like ADD. Okay. So let's go backward. Your uncertainty in life, which is clearly causing you stress, and it feels like ADD-like symptoms, you say, is something your cats are absorbing. So I call it the healing triad. We have angels at the top of the healing triad. Angels are entities in the universe responsible for healing everyone. Then on Earth, we have at the bottom of the triad, 2 corners here, humans, in particular empaths, and animals. So animals and humans work together. So animals come to humans to take disease, okay, to extract stress and illness. And unfortunately, they take it into themselves when they do this. Some animals will literally take their humans like cancerous condition and then excrete it. Some, unfortunately, absorb it and it eats them up. So one of the tools you can give your animals, and this goes for everyone, is to have a lot of access to the outside, to grass, to trees, to earthing, allowing them to have a ton of movement and exercise and fresh air and all the things. If they don't get their walks and a ton of this movement, then they have no fluidity. And if they have no fluidity, they cannot excrete what they took in from you. So it builds in their bodies as physical conditions. I can't prescribe or diagnose. And it starts, when it starts to get real bad, it looks like stress. Like they're freaking out. They're biting their paws. They're gnawing at their back. They're fighting with one another. I'm going to leave it at that. And for the love of God, and this is for everyone, get yourself the help you need. If you are taking better care of yourself, it's then not falling on your animal to absorb from you 24/7. Okay. Also, get more plants in the house. Now they're probably going to piss in it and shit in it, which is like probably just going to stress you out even more. You know what I mean? I feel you, but like plants, for example, or gridding, crystals and things like this. Learn more about cleansing and gridding. Okay. I have free classes on it. I do it. You could book it, blah, blah. But plants and gridding, this haunted house, I assure you, okay? That's how I'm able to live here. Plants, crystals, chimes, cleanse. If you have chimes in every room, as you go through the house, you just ding, 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 ding. Okay. All of that is cleansing. Keep your space clean. Don't allow for an accumulation of negativity to build, because like attracts like. And what does that attract? Paranormal activity. So you end up having a haunted house. Then your pets are really going to have some problems. I'm going to keep that one short and sweet because I don't want the message getting lost. Heal yourself, heal them, because it's what they're here to do, but sometimes it's too much. Let's move on to another one. Thank you for that question. Great question. Love that. CJG121 says, when we go to sleep and we dream, are we in an alternate universe? Well, it depends. I mean, I talk about this in the dreams class. You've got astral travel, you've got subconscious dreaming, you've got visitation dreams. Okay, you have all these different types of dreams, and you can even use techniques like lucid dreaming or astral travel, like you are determining where you go. You control the dream, and people say like that's impossible. No, it isn't. It takes training, yes, but sometimes you do it by accident. This would be if you ever dream that like you're jumping, and when you jump up you float, or you're going downstairs but like you're floating, or you're flying. Okay, all these things. You're skating on ice or water, right? And you're lifting as well. Like, oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. That's not necessarily an alternate universe, but astral travel to me is. Now, a couple different things can happen with astral travel. And I've known people in the spiritual community who like train like 30 plus years to get good at this. If you can astral travel, you can not only go to like other people's houses or get into their dreams and spy on them and do a bunch of weird, creepy shit that you probably shouldn't be doing, but there's that. And then like there's a lot of research on like was it these three, they were lawyers and they were winning all their cases because they were doing astral travel into other law firms, and they were digging through the files and they were winning all their cases because they were doing this. So a lot of old timers who talk about training in astral travel will refer to those original three lawyers. The military uses it. Forget what it's called. Anyways, the military uses it all the time, still do, always have. This can not only take you into other people's space, but this can take you into other dimensions if you get good at it. This can also allow, when I'm talking to my clients about it or my students, I'm mostly talking about this so that you can get good at astral travel to spend more time with your deceased loved ones in spirit, or your ancestors, or your guides, whatever it is you want to do with them, your pets even, because it creates elongated visitations, which are nearly impossible to do any other way. So if you've seen a loved one come through and visit you and you're like, oh, that was amazing, I got to see my loved one, but it was so brief, it was so short, it almost like hurts me. It almost makes me feel worse. I don't want to seem ungrateful, but like, why couldn't I hug them or hold them? Or why didn't it last longer? Or why didn't we talk more? Why didn't our mouths move? Your mouths didn't move because you're doing it telepathically. Your mouth didn't move. Their mouth didn't move. That's not a problem. It's telepathic. You don't need the mouths to move, but it can seem incredibly brief. Astral travel allows you and your deceased loved ones, for example, to agree. So you just like, try it tonight. Everybody do this. This is fun. Come back, report back. I love this. Talk to one of your deceased loved ones, not, keep it specific, and say to them, I would love to meet up with you tonight or this week. I'm going to keep trying. I would love to meet up with you through astral travel so we could spend more time. They will come and you come. You have to do your part. You have to work at it. And then you meet up and you can spend a significant amount of time together. You could talk about many more things. You may even be able to come into physical contact with each other, and you can like get stuff done. It's a little hard to explain. It depends on what you want and who they are and what the nature of the relationship is. Yeah, it's tremendous. I think I forgot what the question was. What was the question? I don't know. Anywho, I hope that was helpful. So insightful. Thank you from Natam777. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here. Jennifer Standish 5047 said, "Thank you, Ivy. I do have to take better care of myself. Anything to help my fur babies." Yes, the better we take care of ourselves, the less animals we will attract and the better our current animals will feel. So if you're the kind of person who's also like constantly every single time you go, you know what I mean, you go somewhere, you go home or you go on your, so people are giving you animals or animals are in your driveway or like all the strays are following you, it's not necessarily because you're this great caretaker as much as you need to do some healing work and they know that's where they have to come. Okay. It's the other way around with animals. We think we're giving to them and they're actually giving to us. They're actually keeping us alive. Yeah. It's a big deal. McKenna 1998. Speaking of which, where is Esmeralda Marie? We had a big day here yesterday. We had for many hours, my handyman came over and she hates people. So she's a little MIA today. She's probably napping. She's so funny. All right, McKenna 1998. How do I know what my spirit guides are telling me versus my anxiety and wishful thinking? I've asked for very specific signs and I feel like I'm told my story isn't finished. Somewhere I've outgrown. Is there a part 2 to that? That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Is that it? All right. Let me just write down the first part. Okay, how do I know what is my spirit guides versus my anxiety and wishful thinking? All right. Well, I have a class called Meet Your Guides, plug. I am reteaching it. It's part of the psychic mediumship course, but the public will be invited in February or March. I'm not actually sure. I'll be announcing it. So follow, okay? But it's up, video download on the website. Meet Your Guides breaks down the 5 guides appointed to you, how to better communicate with each one of them individually because they're all different. So this isn't going to be a quick answer today, okay? It's a 2-hour training. And this is the way I explain this to my psychic mediumship students who are always asking this question in regards to their intuition. How do I know when it's my intuition for real or it's me? It's my ego, which is fear, manipulation, or control. It's my anxiety. It's my fear telling me that, something is true to protect myself in particular. Possibly because it happened to you in the past. This also wishful thinking, as you're calling it, wishful thinking. My students often say, how do I know when it's my intuition versus my imagination? These are all the same type of questions. And what happens with this is that you are having to learn the language. You have to learn the difference between what is your ego, fear, manipulation, and control, and what is your intuition, which is high vibration. It is positivity. It is blind faith. It is right brain thinking versus left brain thinking. When you receive a message from your guides, it's you accepting it and embracing it because it is positive and it is giving you truth, authentic direction in the right direction, right? So you embrace it. And if you keep analyzing it, you are essentially rejecting it. So law of attraction kicks in, like attracts like. It's harder to hear from them. If you reject everything someone says to you, that person is going to stop coming around. Mediumship is the perfect metaphor for life. So you want to accept when someone, you want to listen, you want to embrace it, you want to feed it when someone is talking to you. And it's no different when we talk about your guides. So keep a journal. What did your guides tell you? How did they tell it to you? How did it come to you? Symbology? A feeling physically? Through a dream? How? In a meditation? How did they tell you? How did you receive it? How are your clairs working? Okay. Was that, psychic, empathic, mediumistic? How did you receive that? Write it down. And then what happened? Did that thing happen? Did you follow their directions? Were they accurate? Did they steer you the right way? Okay. Well, then lean into more of that. And any other time you're getting weird information, bad information, sus information, anytime, treat it like the Ouija board. Use your discernment. There are too many readers out there who have no discernment. They don't know if they're talking to a high vibrational spirit or a freaking entity from hell. They don't know. They don't know. They just know. Spirit came through and said something, so they repeat it and they give it out. You have to learn discernment. That will stop you from worrying about whether or not this actually came from your spirit guides or not. Because there could be other spirits trying to talk. I see this frequently. People who are trying to do this professionally, or my students are trying to just learn the basics of mediumship. And it's no different than all the kids who got the Ouija board. And the Ouija board is an amazing tool. So are pendulums. So is the tarot deck. But if you don't have any sense of discernment, like we saw with the Ouija board, these demons would be coming through the Ouija board, or just low-level entities, or even earthbound spirits or elementals or whatever. They would come through the Ouija board and pretend to be that kid's deceased grandma or grandpa, or their uncle who just died, or their aunt that they really loved. And it wasn't. Or they would pretend to be a child. There are no children earthbound ghosts. Those are shapeshifters. They're pretending to be a kid to get in with you. Okay. They're tricking you, and then they shapeshift into what they actually are. They're terrifying things. So you should worry, but not necessarily about, is this my imagination or is it really my spirit guide? You should be worried about your discernment at this stage in your development. Is it high or is it low? Okay. And only feed what's high. You never have to worry if it's a high vibration, because if it isn't your spirit guide, it could be like an ancestor watching over you who works with your guides. It could be, as long as it's high, it's probably okay. But this question of, is it wishful thinking? Or people will ask, is it my imagination? How do I know if it's really my intuition or it's my imagination? It's probably in part your imagination, because your brain is all connected. Okay. And when we're on the right side of our brain, which is where we tap in with spirit, mediumship, all the things, that's also the creative side of your brain. Okay. So this is where you create art. This is how you do automatic writing. If you're writing a book, this is how you are in the flow and you can, you know what I mean? Like play a musical instrument. Well, that's mediumship too. So there's no rule against, you wouldn't be able to do any kind of mediumship or receive any type of message if you weren't using your imagination. Okay. And if it wasn't wishful thinking. So rule that out. It is in part. That doesn't make it inaccurate. Society taught you to find that anything creative, artistic, intuitive, imaginative is childish. Society taught you that it's trash, and it's actually the only thing that counts. Okay. So you've got a black and white way of thinking about all of this, that this is bad and it's not a value, when it's of tremendous value, and all things flow from that creativity. Let's move on to another one. McKenna 1998 said, for the second half of my question, do you kind of answered it with another question? This person is haunting me, even though I'm trying to let go. It might not be my guides telling me to stay. Is this who I'm reading right now for? Is this, well, I'm not reading, but I'm like giving, is this all for McKenna? Okay. So the second half of McKenna's question is, what? Who? A spirit is haunting you? This person is haunting me even though I'm trying to let go. It might not be my guides telling me to stay. I don't understand. Can I say the first part? What was the first part again? I don't know where I am. I've done too many in a row. Let me just say this. How do I know when my spirit guides are telling me something? Oh, okay. Okay. That's what I thought. Listen, here's the thing. That's a great way to test this out. If you're thinking of staying with someone and you shouldn't be, your guides are never, and we're talking specifically about your relationship guide, okay? Who's like number 2 in line. It goes joy guide, relationship guide. Your relationship guide is never going to tell you to stay in a toxic relationship, something abusive or neglectful or below you, or if it makes you compromise who you authentically are or what would be for your highest and best good ever. So if you are hearing from spirits, okay, that includes if you're going to a reader and they're telling you to stay and keep working it out with that person, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money. They want to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. This can work out. This is your twin name. Give me that money. Give me that money, because they know you're hooked and you're going to keep coming back. Don't think spirits don't do the same thing if they want to take you down. That's not your guide. Your guides would never, ever tell you to stay with someone, nor would a legitimate reader tell you to stay with someone if it's bad for you. How do you know if it's bad? Book a relationship reading. I'll give you the truth. But also look at patterns. Patterns never lie. If there's a pattern of this person, being dookie in the past, expect more of it in the future. Period. Point blank. Nope. No, thank you. Okay. If you're compromising yourself, stop compromising yourself and see what happens. Let the chips fall where they may. Okay. That's a great point for anyone doing that who's like, how do I know if it's my guide? Test it out with something like that. Test it out, because humans will lie to you and some readers may lie to you, and certainly your ego will lie to you because the fleshy part of you wants this person or this thing to work out, but your guides will never lie to you. Okay. You have to quiet your mind enough though to receive that message and to not fight it. So that's the trick. That's always the trick. Let's move on to another one. This is from Icy Trina. Hello, I'm Christina. Okay. Can you tell me how to stop shrinking myself around people feeling awkward or less? Okay. So I shrink, I feel awkward or less. Okay. Thank you for that question. I know that's hard for a lot of people to admit. Christina, so how can you stop shrinking yourself, feeling awkward or feeling less? Well, stop putting yourself around people who deliberately do this to you. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok, because a lot of people do. So if you're around people who are shrinking you, you can feel it. So your nervous system may be dysregulated when you're around them. You may think about this person a lot, like you're trying to solve a puzzle, or the relationship with them may confuse you in some way. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm confused. Something seems off. I think about this friendship more than what I should, like something's wrong. They're probably doing this to you. Why would somebody do this to you? And this includes family or coworkers or acquaintances. Why would somebody do this to you? Probably because they're jealous of you. Probably because when you come here to be a healer or a light worker, or you're a significant part of the revolution, your life contract looks very different than their life contract. Their life contract could be really small. Like they have to learn basic lessons. They're like babies. And you are this leader, potentially. And so leaders get attacked from birth. So you're shut down verbally. Your throat chakra is attacked. You're minimized from birth. People do and say things to you until you start shrinking your own self. You become shy or introverted, even if you're not really, crippling yourself out. You have a big old contract. And anyone who is near you can feel that but they don't understand that's what they're feeling. So they'll have two different types of reactions to you. They will either want to be closer to you and they want to potentially learn from you, or they enjoy being in your energy because it raises their vibration and they want to like feed you and support you in whatever way. Or you have your haters, and these could be your parents. I see it typically in family members, our closest friends, our friends are frenemies. And no matter if we go get a new friend group, it ends up happening again and again and again. So you want to identify if the problem is really with you or it's with the energy they're sending toward you, what they're doing. Okay. Don't minimize the fact that you may not have proof, but when you're around certain people, you feel exceptionally small, or bad or fearful. When you look at the workplace, for example, or getting onto a camera like this, which was always my like worst nightmare in life, or whatever, okay, having to public speak or having to like level up in your job into a leadership position, talk, right, lead it, there's this anxiety. Remember that the system is designed to make you feel small. I've mentioned this earlier in just even tonight's show. Capitalism is shrinking you to stay down low by design. So you've been trained up from birth to stay small, to be a cog in the wheel, to keep the machine going. Okay, to believe that speaking, taking up space is for white men. Okay? Nope, not anymore, it isn't. So take up your space, spread those legs, stretch out, open your mouth, talk slow, say what you want, test it out, have fun with it. Take up space. I think this is another one of those answers that involves repetition, because the more you shrink yourself, the more you are inclined to shrink yourself, the more comfortable that feels, because our nervous system doesn't want what's best for us. Our nervous system wants what's familiar to us. So the only way to twist that into being able to speak and take up space and, you know what I mean, feel more confident, is to create a new pattern. So this is habit forming, right? So take up more space, practice. I would also say like practice where it doesn't matter. When I had to do, I didn't have to do, but like I said, once they had confronted me, I talked about this earlier tonight, and they were like, look, you can't be on the freaking news and working for the newspaper and like be doing psychic readings. When they confronted me and they gave me an ultimatum, and it broke my heart, but I knew I chose this, which was insane. And I know it seemed insane at the time. But like, I chose this, and that pushed me so ridiculously far out of my comfort zone that it wasn't just doing this and having to deal with everything I just been through, 10 years of getting my degree and the debt and the coming out publicly and getting harassed at the kids' school by other parents and them having to deal with it. And like everything, I mean, the list, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Again, we're talking almost 15 years ago here. Okay. Not only that, but I had to then, Spirit was pushing me to get in front of the mic. I was invited on to radio shows. I had, like I said, like HBO reached out. I had all these other situations. I was freaking losing my mind. I was like, this gets worse every week, like literally every week. Something that I should have seen as a big opportunity was just making me feel like crippled, just absolutely crippled out. And I knew that if I was going to grow and stick with this, and I'd already left journalism, so I was going to stick with it come hell or high water, right? I was going to have to figure out how to do this. And so I started doing things like radio shows that like didn't show my face, and they were like other people's radio shows. You know what I mean? I would do like my first psychic fair. I wouldn't even do it in the state that I lived in. I traveled out of state. So panicked I was about doing shit like this. I traveled to Pennsylvania. I mean, I didn't go insanely far. I went to the next state over, right? Where no one would know me. And I did it there. Do stuff that is going to not matter, okay? When working on like getting past being awkward, shrinking less, being seen, taking up space, all the things, okay? I think it's I don't know what kind of therapy this is. Maybe it's behavioral modification. I don't know, but like I know that a lot of people who were cripplingly shy or were on the spectrum or dealing with neurodivergence back in the day, they used to talk a lot about, or being like introverts. They would talk a lot about how their therapist gave them homework and would make them go up to like 50 people. Just an example. I'm not saying, I don't know, maybe this will help you. It is coming up, but like, they would have to go up to like 50 people and they would have to say like, hi, my name is Alexandra, da, 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 da. I love your coat. And some people would respond beautifully and be sociable, and other people would look at them like they had lobsters crawling out of their ears. And so you're going to get one of two reactions. People are either going to be favorable and feed your energy, or they're going to reject you. And the more you can get used to rejection in a situation that doesn't freaking matter. Who gives a shit what Shlomo off the street thinks about what you say about his quote? Who cares? You know what I mean? Go and do that 50 times so that eventually when it's important, you're like, I'm here. It's practice. It is practice. All right, let's get on to another one. Natam777 says, how do you protect yourself from people trespassing when they astro travel? I like my privacy. Yeah, me too. Well, watch out for weirdos because you don't even have to go on a date with them. I mean, just talk to them once, or watch out for who follows your social media because those same creepos are trying to astro travel into your space. Psychos. It's a form of stalking. So, be aware. Best thing you can do is to pay attention. Keep a dream journal in your bed, pen and pad at all times. When you wake up from a dream, don't roll over. Don't get a drink of water. Don't go to the bathroom. When you wake up, jot down the main symbology in your dream. If this included heavily someone, jot down those details. When you wake up in the morning, go back to it with your morning cup of coffee or tea, 10 to 15 minutes while it's still fresh, before you take texts or respond to your emails or go into social media while it's still fresh. Call in your guides and look at the symbology and this person who's showing up in your dream, and help yourself by asking your guides to help you, showing you who this is, what this is about. Now, maybe it is someone astro traveling, maybe it isn't, but if it is and it's inappropriate, you're going to immediately know. Because they're crossing boundaries. They're doing things you didn't ask for, whether it's giving protection or intervening in your life or creepily watching you do something. I have an ex who will still try to show up, and I know it's him. I know he's doing it purposely. He'll still try to show up like in my dreams, and then like he'll try to message me on a social media platform or whatever. If I didn't have him blocked, like he would text within typically 2 weeks, because he thinks that because I saw him in the dream, I'm going to go, oh my God, it must be a sign. I should reach out to him, right? So it's just energy manipulation. People are doing this stuff all the time. And if they can't get you to come to them, they will eventually cave and just reach out to you. Because this is like the last card to play, right? This is it. I think that in situations like that, and I don't care, but like I've had other people do it in far more creepy ways. And it can be if somebody wants to stop you from achieving, or a lot of people talk about like psychic attacks. If someone sees you as competition, and for a lot of people, sadly, this can even be your parents. I call them murderous parents. If your parents are against you, we're not all born into families that are here to uplift us. A lot of it is karmic, right? So if you feel uncomfortable with it, you can use the cord cutting class that's up on my website, or you can do your own form of cord cutting, but you probably have to do it repeatedly. Because they have an agenda. They're going to keep trying to come back. And they know the second you're even thinking about doing a cord cutting, they hit hard once you cut that cord. They'll actually show up physically, like texting you or whatever, around that time. I had a client who was going to do a cord cutting, and she said the woman showed up at her house with a gift, food and drink and some type of gift. And I always say, never eat or drink anything anyone's giving you, or don't let them touch your stuff. Certainly don't let them touch your hair, and don't accept any type of object from them, because this is a way for them to astral travel into your space more easily. So be careful, be mindful. People who are going to try to come in and attack your energy in any way, they're going to typically come in lovingly. Eat this, drink this. What beautiful hair you have. Let me touch your table here. If you're a psychic reader or a healer, no, don't touch anything. I don't want it. I don't want it. And I've had to even do it with my students, and I always feel a little bit bad. But if students like, if I feel a little, that's always the one who comes in. And first she's got a drink for me the next time, because I didn't accept it. She's got chocolate for me. And then when she realizes she still can't get into my dreams, she's got something I would wear on my body, like a piece of jewelry or a stone I'm supposed to keep in my pocket. And I'm like, hell no, you're not getting in that way either. They know what they're doing. So put up your boundaries that way. Be smart about who you deal with, who you let sit next to, who you let touch you, things like this. Energy transfer. That's what it is. Yeah, boundary setting, cord cutting. You can also mix lucid and astral. I talk about this in the dreams class. So, you can use lucid dreaming techniques where you're controlling your dreams to set limitations on who can come into your space, especially when like you're astral traveling. So control it, but I would recommend doing that before you fall asleep. Don't try to use lucid once you're asleep. Do it while you're still awake. It makes it more powerful and easier to lucid's tricky that way. So while you're awake, but you're in the process of dozing off, you're saying, this person is not allowed to come into my space, or no one is allowed to travel into my dreams. And these are the types of dreams I'm going to have. I'm going to astral travel, and I'm going to be in control of who I interact with there. And no one I don't want there is allowed to come into that space. Okay, so you're visualizing it. You're writing the script. You're setting it up ahead of time. And then you doze off and you go into that. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. Yeah, that should do the trick. I think a lot of astral travel, though, honestly, when a bunch of weird people are trying to get in through astral travel with you, it's probably because you are dealing with them in your waking hours and you're not dealing with them appropriately enough. Jess 1199 says, hi, Ivy. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Jess. Thank you. What do you think about the Northern Lights and their symbolism? I'm a little obsessed, especially in 2025, because it happened here a few times where I am, and I've only been living here a few years, so I'm not used to being like that close. I even went down to try to see them a couple times. No such luck. But as far as their symbolism, and I would like to get a little more immersed before I fully understand what it's all about, which is like a goal of mine this year for sure. But I think really what's happening is some level of energy transfer from high vibrational energy entities, the universe, call it what you want, God, call it what you want, the spirit world. I think there's energy transfer, and we're being enlightened. We're receiving downloads. We're having kundalinis. I would love to hear from people. I would love to do in-depth research on this in the future, but if anyone wants to let me know in the comments, have you ever been in the energy of the Northern Lights for real, and afterward you realized electricity shooting from the bottom of your feet, down like up your head to the bottom of your feet. You received downloads. You had a full cleanse, whether this be like explosive diarrhea, nasal drainage, an increase in intuitive intelligence, psychic, mediumistic, and empathic. I think that the energy going on through the Northern Lights is very similar to what we see with people who get struck by lightning. And there's a documentary on WNED that has apparently disappeared. I don't know where the hell this thing went. I've been searching for it for years. Please let me know if you can find it. But where the same people who got struck by lightning over and over and over again, but only when they had a disease, an illness, a broken bone. So those who got struck, and of course not everybody, some people just die, or it's horrible for you, but other people, they found out they were diagnosed with something, and once they got struck by lightning, it healed it. It removed it. And then years later, they ended up getting sick again, and they got struck again, and it healed it. It removed it. And in this documentary, there were a lot of photographs of lightning that looked very much like legs and arms going out. And when I talk about angels, and I always say that people mistake them for aliens, because angels don't actually look like feathered wings. They look like freaking aliens. They're long, they're tubular, they have like long faces, tubular arms and legs. It some of the images reminded me of that. And being the healing entities of the universe, it looks like that's kind of what lightning looked like to me. And angels come in and they're like light beings. So there's often like a blinding and almost like entrapment in the body. Okay, so people can't move. I see some of that coming through the Northern Lights. And I want to figure out more of what is happening with this, but I think we're going to see increases. I think it's also something people are, whether it's like seeing more, getting to more, connecting with more. I do think it's part of the revolution, like everything else. Everything is part of the revolution in my brain. Everything is pattern recognition with the revolution. I've been obsessed my entire life, but like that's who's here right now. Everything that's going on in nature, right, in the collective, in the universe, it is based on what's happening in the revolution. So I think it's connected, but I think it's connected in a really kind of potent spiritual way. And what I mean by that is that when we're talking about things like energy transfer or kundalini or downloads or the stuff with the lightning that I went off on a tangent about, this is all to make room for the new. So things like kundalini, it's unblocking your chakras, for example. So again, whether it's like the explosive diarrhea, it's the nasal drainage, it's the flu-like symptoms that come and go for like 3 months, but you're not really sick. You don't know what's going on. You're releasing, you're detoxing, you're excreting what was blocking you. Could be past life, mental, emotional, physical, whatever. It's got to go to make room for the new. So people who go through kundalini start having more downloads, which are directional information, right? Being channeled into you so that you know what to do with the next level in your life. And it allows for healing abilities. So when we do things in like Reiki, for example, when I'm a Reiki master, when I attune my students, I warn them, you're going to go through kundalini. You may have when you booked your seat for this training, or it may happen now or after the attunement, but you're going to have a kundalini if there's anything there that needs to be cleared out. And why does kundalini happen? Because you have to be a clean vessel to receive and channel the healing energy. Okay. And sometimes that's information. Sometimes it's like literal healing energy, like energy working, right? Like It depends. So that's what I think is going on. And it's gorgeous because it's like, we're like Pavlov's dog. It's like ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. I mean, the northern lights are coming and we just all run. I do it. I mean, I not successfully, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like the universe knows how to play us. It's a pretty thing. It's a sparkly, pretty, beautiful, unbelievable thing. And we go. And if we're sitting in it, I think it's like the universe's way of giving us a bath because we are just dirty AF right now, Really interesting. I would love to do more research on this in the future. Please, anyone who can find that documentary. Again, it was on Lightning. It was on WNED. I saw it like maybe 8 years ago, and I've been looking ever since. Thank you for that question. I love that. Thank you. Jennifer says you have to use your cell phone camera in order to see it. I found that out for my son. Yeah. Okay, maybe that'll work. My problem down here is that like I'm on the lake. I'm supposed to be in like a prime, you know what I mean? But it's been really cloudy every time. Like the lights are there, but the weather is bad. So I don't know if that cell phone thing will work even through that. I'm all about it. I'm gonna test it out. Edgar is next. Advice on how to stop wanting something more with a potential love interest. It's hard because I work with her and we see each other often. How do you stop wanting someone you can't have? Well, I think that having some respect for the reality of the circumstance, whatever is keeping you from her, her from you, there's a reason for it. And you have to come out of your ego, which is fear, manipulation, and control. You have to come out of a place of demanding that you get what you want when you want it, right? You have to come out of that. And you have to say, I trust that the universe knows what it's doing. I am not God or able to manipulate the situation. And so I am going to have a reverence for that. It's a little bit of a lack of respect. It's a little egotistical when we do this. It's a sign that you may also need to do some inner work, whether it's thinking that you're never going to get love, or it's having attachment style issues. I can't prescribe a diagnosis. But if you have an attachment style or codependency issues, right, this can create an almost obsessive desire to have someone you can't have because they're not available, right? Or they're not available for this, or they're not available right now. And so you're chasing something you can't have. And you have to ask yourself sometimes if it's a little more psychological. Is there some healing that needs to happen in that department for you? Because in a way, you're rejecting your own self. You're reliving, whether it be a childhood wound. I would always say, and this is just for everybody, if you ever catch yourself doing this, whether it's like limerence or obsession or whatever, you probably had a high level of rejection in childhood. And it's probably from a childhood wound that you are sort of latching on to certain people that you can't have and reliving that. It probably has nothing to do with this other person. Also, a trick that I have used is to find things about them that are unattractive. And with some people, you can do that by opening up more conversation with them and letting them talk. And after they talk a little bit, you're like, I'm good. You could ask some more personal questions, maybe about like their morals or their values or their political stance, see where they are on like a humanitarian level or whatever. Usually you dig a little deeper with people and you're like, I'm good. Or if it gets real bad, I'll pick things out physically about them. If I catch myself like putting them up on a pedestal that they haven't earned, I'll be like, yeah, but when he walks really fast, he looks like he has a hunchback. He's like an ape. You know what I mean? And I'll like make him into this cartoonish, ridiculous fool in my head. I will find things to nitpick on. I assure you, it's not that hard if you really, get, and it's not bad. So what? They're never going to know. You're not going to tell them. You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings. Look at her, spend a day interacting with her and being like, just analyze. Women are queens at this. Okay. We're masters at this, because when we are, whether we're doing it or not, think like a woman. Okay. When a woman meets a man, right? If she's straight, she's thinking, I could reproduce with this person. On some level, it's a possibility, even if that's not in the forefront of your mind. And you want to make sure you are passing on the absolute best genes you possibly can. So women have a way, and then we talk about this, it's brutal, but we have a way of scanning men from top to tail. How is he thinking? How is he acting? What is he wearing? What is his hygiene? What does his haircut look like? What is his dental situation here? Are his nails dirty and gangly? Like a million things. We track every single thing. And we do that until it's like approved. Because if you were to get together with them and have a child, you want that child to be, you know what I mean? The best genes. You got to pass on the best genes. So think like a woman. So next time you look at her, talk to her, or just even think about it right now. Maybe you can come up with a small list of like, yeah, but I really don't like how she does this. I really don't like how she hasn't advanced in this area or seemed to have like changed much in the last 3 years. Maybe those are all turnoffs for you. Is she really in alignment, that much with your goals and your morals and your ethics and all of this? Is she really that in alignment, or are you creating this because there's some healing that you need to do? It shouldn't be hard to come up with a list, even for someone you really are genuinely attracted to and could be with. You can always come up with a list on people. Hello, come here. Oh, I love you. And I would say also, just, shut your brain off next time you catch yourself doing it. Now, again, if there's healing that needs to be done and this is here for a reason, you're not going to be able to do that. It's not going to be that easy. But once you've done the healing work, what is this trying to show me? What is this teaching me? What is she here to teach me about my own self? But once that work is done, if this were to not go away, you can work a lot on just discipline. Ow, Azzy, of your mind, just discipline. You think of them. This is a big problem in limerence. Like you think of them and you have to realize that you did it and just catch it and shut it off and replace it with a different thought. Yeah. It's also blocking your manifestation on being with someone else. That's a tough pill to swallow. If you haven't had luck in other areas of love since her, this could be why. Edgar says, thanks. I'll use that trick regarding Jennifer. You're welcome. Good luck. I know that one's tough. Hi. Let's see if we have any more coming in here. I do have to just fix something real quick on, ouch, my TikTok. Hold on. This isn't actually me fixing something on TikTok. I just have to flip screens real quick. Okay. I know. What are you doing, Mama? What are you doing? I will go like this. Okay, I think I fixed it. Let me see if I can get back. I found an easier way to get back. Okay, very good, very good. Ezzy, you can come sit with me. Come sit. Don't scratch. Just come sit. Okay, let's move on to another one. This is McKenna 1998. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, I know where she went. I gave her catnip spray. You were stoned. You want more? She loves this stuff. Okay. Have fun, mama. McKenna 1998. Can we actually leap into our highest timeline overnight? I guess when people refer to timelines nowadays, they're referring to like skipping your current life circumstance into like another life circumstance. I always thought of that as just like future potential possibilities. Like from free will, you have free will, therefore, depending on the choices you make and what the choices other people make, there are different like potential futures. I guess that's what people mean when they say timelines. It's not a phrase I use. It's not a phrase that was ever around before like 2025. Like people never use that. Timeline up until 2025 meant timeline. Timeline. Okay? Now it's being used in this way. So I'm guessing that's what you mean. Can you pop it back up? So I didn't catch her name either. Yeah, McKenna. Okay, this was McKenna. So McKenna asks, can we actually leap into our highest timeline overnight? Okay. So that's another thing. Like leaping, you're not leaping into anything ever. Okay? We're not jumping timelines. We're not doing all kinds of like none of this is happening. I don't know where everyone's coming up with this stuff. It is a slow go from A to Z. Everything is based on karma, and karma has to be earned. So there's no such thing as like luck. There's no such thing as lottery aspects. There's no such thing as just like winning or transitions overnight. There is occasionally grace, but everything is based on karma. So you don't get anything unless you earned it, which is why all of these manifestation gurus are out of work right now. Because what they didn't ever want to teach, or law of attraction or whatever, you don't even hear about it anymore because it didn't work. You can't manifest anything you didn't earn. You can't manifest anything that you're not in alignment with or that isn't for you. It has to be in alignment with your life contract. And you have to be actively creating it. So there's no such thing as like quick overnight, you know what I mean, timeline switches or whatever, you know, words people are trying to use these days. The way it works is that you do the work, you detox from the things that are blocking you from doing more of that work, and you receive the benefits from that work. Sometimes slowly, sometimes more immediately, but always within balance of what you've earned. Always. So I'm thinking based on the way this was worded, I'm going to say no. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as like waking up and being in like a better situation unless it's karmically already in alignment to have happened. And it certainly shouldn't be surprising. You know, it's like, here's a good example. Every day I wake up and I'm like, ooh, let me check my social media and see if I had a video blow up. You know, see if I have like a bunch of new followers, see if whatever, you know, I mean, that's the point of social media for creators. I think we all do that. And I will never wake up. If I have woken up and I've been like, oh my God, this got over 1 million views, or this went viral, or look at, I gained a bunch of people, you know, I never thought on those days I jumped timelines overnight, or like I won like a lottery aspect in astrology. Like I never ever thought that. I always thought, good, I freaking earned it. I earned it because I remember all the things I did leading up to this, where I worked on it, or I pumped out similar videos, or I paid attention to algorithms, or I met people where they were, or I gave them what they wanted. You know what I mean? Or I listened to spirit. Spirit told me, I didn't think it was going to be right, but I did it anyways. Like I knew all along that would come. So it shouldn't be, that's what I mean when I say like it shouldn't be anything really surprising, and it doesn't really happen overnight. Even if it looks that way, it didn't. You did some million things before that to get to that point, so no quick. I think a lot of this stuff is based on like immediate gratification, quick solutions. It's the next big thing, because law of attraction and manifestation actually proved to be a lot of work, right? Or it didn't work. So no, not really. Okay, let's move on to another one. Thank you for that question. Christina says, why do we sometimes sabotage good opportunities when they finally arrive? I think it depends on what we're talking about. And, it depends on the person, of course, but I think for the most part, most people are sabotaging good things when they come in because it's a bit of a test. They haven't done the work on themselves yet. They haven't done the healing or the shadow work, or they haven't alchemized the pain to power. And so we can get a sample of something. I call it wetting the palate, like a test to see what you're going to do, wetting the palate. And the universe will be like, here's a little taste of this. And it's like a mirroring. It's showing you, it's forcing you to look in the mirror. Okay, I finally got this thing that I wanted, or I said I wanted, or I thought I wanted, or this good thing, or I did want it, and I effed it up. So it's forcing you to go back in and do more healing. So it's the universe's way of saying, like, you said you want this, you could have this, but let's see, are you going to caretake for it? Are you ready for it? Because you can't have anything that you can't maintain. You may get it, but you can't keep it. And it's kind of like we see this in dating a lot. That, a lot of people present themselves early in a relationship, like within the first 3 to 6 months, they bring their A game, right? Their best features. They're wearing a mask and they're like, I am whatever, Prince Charming, or, I am everything you've ever wanted, and I can listen to you, and I can be emotionally supportive, and, I can fix your, I don't know, your car, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be here, like all the things. Let's get together. Let's have fun. Let's go on trips. Let's like do all the things. And then you hit that 6-month mark and it's like, ew, that's not the same person, or like, where did they go? So it can just be a situation where we're kind of faking it, and the only way I think sometimes the universe can keep us on the right track, which is learning, growth, change, alchemy, evolution, all the points of being here as a human. Earth is a classroom, all the things, right? The universe is going to be like, give them a jolt, give them a jolt. So you kind of realize this isn't what it seemed. And probably the reality is also with a situation like that, where something came in and then you lost it because you effed it up in some way, because you weren't ready for it. You couldn't maintain it, right? And what I was saying with the dating is like a lot of people present themselves as being one thing, but when all the masks slip off at usually about 6 months, you realize this person can't maintain this relationship. This isn't even who they are. They can't maintain this. So it's the same idea. But, you have to, trying to think of what my point was on that. I don't know. Anyways, you need to be willing to, oh, I know what it was. Often that situation wasn't really going to work out anyways, and don't rest on your laurels. I'm not saying, so don't worry about it. You know what I mean? No harm done. You don't need to do the work. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's very possible that when that thing was given to you, or that person was sent to you, or that thing was allowed to come through, it's very possible the universe already knew, that like you weren't going to maintain it. Who are you fooling? Like they knew. The universe knows. I like to say the universe is a gentleman. And in circumstances like that, as long as you hold yourself accountable, you take responsibility, and you go back and do the rest of the work, something like it will come back around again. Okay, so that's growth. We just have to trust that that's the way the universe works in blind faith, because it does. People who do the growing, successfully can prove that to you. I'm a living example. I know for a fact that's not a question of mine. Will it come back around? No, it will come back around. Maybe not that person, but it will come back around. I know it. It's a fact. It's law. Okay, that's why we're here. The universe isn't trying to play tricks on you. It's not a setup. The only setup is in your head. So it's you against you. It's not you against the universe or that situation or that person or that loss, right? It's none of that. It's you against you. So, yeah, it's a call to more growth. But it's good to, I think, also get those opportunities, because it's like, wow, I can manifest this. It is real. These good things can happen. It could be very motivational. We have any more? Amarisdia? How pretty. Amarisdia says, what's the difference between compromise and self-abandonment? Okay, let me write this down. Amarisdia says, what's the difference between compromise, okay, and self-abandonment? All right, great question. When you are compromising, you will have signs from the universe. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok, that you're doing the right thing. If everybody could give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment, let me know where you're tuning in from. Please do share it, okay, and subscribe. So yeah, when you're compromising, you should have signs and symbols from the universe, your higher mind, right? Even in your dreams, that compromising is going to be necessary. Now, that doesn't make it easy, but there's plenty of reassurance coming at you, letting you know it's the right thing to do. You would also know how you're supposed to compromise, and you would have a sense of inner peace with it. Like, I don't love it. It wasn't my first choice. I'm not looking to compromise more, but I'm at peace with this. I could do this. It usually involves being patient, like giving time, okay, sitting still, holding back, being detached, waiting and letting things unfold. It could be giving a little bit more of your time, attention, affection, or energy, a little bit more. Okay, but it's not typically anything huge when we talk about compromise. And when it's self-abandonment, it is huge. It's pretty big. What you are trying to give up, whether you want to, or you think it's the solution, or people are trying to get it out of you, whatever it is, it's going to feel like disrespect to yourself. It's going to haunt you. It's going to cause nightmares, maybe grinding your teeth. Okay, like TMJ, right? Stress, dreaming, headaches, migraines, irritable bowel, stomach problems, maybe even weight gain, depression. Your immune system drops. You start getting sick. I can't prescribe or diagnose. You're real bloated. You could get real aggressive. So I see a lot of people go from being like aggressive agitators, where they're like blaming things on other people, or every time you talk to them, like they're bringing up drama. They're obsessed with drama. They're always stirring the shit pot. It's a form of aggression, right? Or they're the victim. So you may go, it's almost this bipolar energy of like, I'm either aggressive and toxic and spewing my toxicity everywhere, or I'm a martyr and I'm a victim and I'm weak and I'm small and I'm shy and I'm shrinking and woe is me. There's nothing in between. It's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like this tug of war, because it's essentially you. It's you fighting yourself, right? And that would be you fighting like the fleshy part of yourself that is low level and toxic. And choosing to self-abandon, choosing to disrespect yourself, lowering your standards, which is going against universal law, and you're getting into a trouble zone, and like your higher mind wants you to come out of that and do the right thing. So it's like this war within you, this angel and this devil, on either side. It's self-abandonment when you're immediately punished. The minute you even think about that compromise, the universe goes, really? And the universe removes its hand of protection and your blessings from you. And every single area of your life starts to get negatively affected. That phone call, that promotion you were supposed to get, gone. They never called back. That great relationship you had going on, it's falling apart. You and your friends fighting. Your health not looking so hot. That trip you were planning, canceled. Right? Your energy level in the toilet. Like everything falls apart. Negative karmic kickback, as I call it, is when you have sold yourself out for something or someone, and the universe sees it and says, until you are going to hold yourself accountable and take responsibility for your own self, I'm removing protection and blessings from you. You can have them back when you're ready for them, when you've checked yourself. So you're basically putting a big old timeout chair, right? And I go more in depth in my psychic mediumship class, talking to my students. I call it the shift. There are actually 3 levels to this. And the third one is quite bad. The difference between compromise and self-abandonment in your bones, okay, in your soul, and in the universe, and the way it's talking to you. So don't try to complicate it. Let's see if we have any more coming in. Keisha Park H6P. Keisha says, how do I stop feeling responsible for everyone else's emotions? Well, check out the empathic awareness training. Again, I train therapists and doctors and educators and parents, and you can even get teacher credits for it and stuff like this. But I teach it in universities. It's all about that. It's all about understanding what is mine and what is others. And sometimes you are overly concerned and caretaking over other people's emotions or needs or thoughts because their energy is literally invading yours. Okay. Empaths at all 4 levels, not just the 2 highest, at all 4 levels are absorbing other people's energy. And it can make it impossible, depending on what level you're on, impossible sometimes to tell the difference between what is mine and what is others. So you automatically give, right? We as empaths too often find, and I see this just even with intuitives, empathic stuff aside, I see it with neurodivergence, right? Those on the spectrum, autism, I mean, all of it. I see it, and most of my students are on the spectrum or neurodivergent in some way. But like the thing is, overabsorption of other people's energy is so powerful, and we dismiss it. We act like it's not real, right? We act like it's kind of magical. It is so disruptive that you can lose sight of how you even think, feel. And people know when they can come close to you or even reach out through technology. They know when they can get you to do that. They know when they can extract from you. So you also become, the more you give to people out of balance, the more you become a magnet, right? You're like a taxi cab. You got the light on and it says like, come get a free ride. And so people will, vampires, they will drain you. They will pull from you. So you have to get back to the roots of who you are. I would suggest learning more about what you really like, what you really believe, what you really want, who you really enjoy spending time with. And a big one is who gives back to you. Because 2026 is the year. This is a 1 year. This is a start over year. Bad habits must go. And chick, if this ain't one, I don't know what is. Because like, if you are given to people and it's out of balance, it's out of whack, there's no reciprocity, right? In any way, shape, or form, that's going to come back onto you as a negative karmic kickback. So learn more about yourself, know where your boundaries are, know them ahead of time, know where your tendencies, lean into giving without question to someone else, and be prepared for that next time. Slow your roll. I said this to someone earlier. You don't have to say yes to anything right away. You don't have to respond to anyone right away. Slow down. And if you're really confused and you've been totally enmeshed in a system or a culture or a relationship, whatever, where you don't even know who the heck you are in this anymore, spend more time alone. The solution is to get back into your energy without everyone else invading it. So again, in that class, that's part of what we talk about. What is mine? What is others? You have to get down to the foundation sometimes. And that comes through a lot of, isolation. And I don't mean isolation in a bad way. I just mean isolation. Like, I'm not checking the emails. I'm not taking the calls. I'm not anywhere that people could invade your space and confuse what is mine and what is others. I'm not doing it for a while. I did this the way I was able to figure out the empathic awareness training. It took me a year and a half. I secluded myself. I stopped going out places. I stopped even socializing. I stopped. The only thing I did was go for my classes to get my degree. And I dealt with the people in my immediate family, but it took me a year and a half because like I was so constantly being absorbed, into like other people's stuff, and it was dysregulating my nervous system, and I was being, drained by other people and circumstances, because we also aren't just being potentially drained by other people. It can be objects and atmospheres. Okay. In the spirit world, I mean, you really have to isolate to figure out who the hell you even are at some point, and anything that makes you feel dysregulated or like, I don't know if I want to give to that, or I'm not sure, or this is upsetting my stomach a little bit, or I feel a little, weird, like I'm thinking about this thing too much. That's a no. That's a no. No. Okay. So you got to slow it down. And you have to take more personal space for sure. But after I came out of that, like a year and a half, I was like, holy shit, I figured the whole thing out. Right. And it's like, this is what was going on all that time. It was too much. It was just too much. So get back to the basics. And also, if you are afraid, and this goes for anyone who's experiencing this, if you are afraid that if you say no to someone or a group of people or a situation, an opportunity, whatever it is, if you're afraid to say no, and whoever you say no to, okay, even a boss, whatever it is, whoever you say no to, if they come back at you with some type of punishment and it's not, justifiable, you're not supposed to be dealing with that person. So what the universe is trying to get you to do in saying no is to also show you what systems and with whom you're supposed to be working with. Okay. So don't be afraid of that. It needs to be revealed, because when we set a boundary, there are going to be two reactions, right? The right reaction, which is like, oh, I respect you for that, and we could work with that. Or like, they're going to try to grind you down. So I'd rather know, wouldn't you? So don't let fear of that hold you back. And do we have any other questions coming in? That is a great question. These are all really great questions tonight. Super fun. Oh, are we at time? Okay, I think we got to everybody. All right, you guys. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. Thank you for your continued support